a traffic jam, staring at the faces in a rearview mirror, looking at the promise of the promised land. One kid dreams of fame and fortune, one kid helps pay the rent, one could end up going to prison, one just might be president.
Truth warrior, woke destroyer.
Only in America,
Randy Tobler
dreaming in red, white, and blue.
on News Talk STL.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Randy Tobler Show on this Easter weekend.
Hope that your
celebration
of this great day,
the biggest day tomorrow in the Christian calendar
is going well.
I know that there are a lot of preparations going on, a lot of family gatherings being planned.
Hope that
you have a meaningful, deeply spiritual time with you and yours. Jerome's over there. As we move along on the show today, we're going to have a lot of fun talking about things that are some optimism. It is, after all, after yesterday's Good Friday. And in many of your worship centers, a day of somber remembrance and thanks for sacrifice. I know at our celebration, at our commemoration of what happened 2,000 years ago, we thought a lot about suffering and how to survive the suffering inevitably we all undergo. But then, of course, we look forward to the resurrection and the life to come. There is a life to come, I think, for the country. If we start to tack back to some of those cultural ideas, the Judeo-Christian ones. Don't see a lot of that in all corners in terms of our behavior. But I think that ironically, there are some things, and we'll be connecting the dots on those, going on even across the pond. The recent events that happened in Hazelwood. I think some of the things that we're seeing with the movement towards, I think, more civility in politics. I think the funeral we're going to see today, ironically, after the violence, the carnage that left a family, a young mother and a child, widowed and fatherless up in New York City. But you see the outpouring of respect for the humanity and of an expectation that those who are in power and who have wantonly, in the name of politics, sacrificed others' humanity, literally. I think we, the people, are beginning to speak in maybe a different way, a cultural way, that will ultimately, hopefully, filter through to politics. But we'll be talking about those stories as the day goes on. Of course, the number 314-912-1019. If you'd like to join in on the program today, love to hear from you. 314-912-1019. You can watch us on Rumble and Facebook. Are we still off of YouTube, Jerome? Did you get us thrown off again and we're still off? No?
Well, it looks like for now, at least, we do have our YouTube up. But that's just one of the many ways. We have our Twitter page, we have Facebook, we have Rumble. So you're not missing anything if you don't go on YouTube.
No, plenty of ways to catch the program. Let's start with, I think, King Charles and the diagnosis that was reported. I think that if indeed that reporting is true, that King Charles has pancreatic cancer. I think that it's amazing. This is how can these kind of things become so public, hit the people of England right in the gut. I saw it reported that he's going to be suffering, or he is suffering from pancreatic cancer. I haven't been able to confirm that, but it appears as though they're trying some heroic measures. We don't know whether it's going to in fact be they say for pancreatic cancer. Certainly if that's the case, I mean, then they're making plans for transition at this point. Don't know though. Haven't seen that confirmed. But when you see that he's going through chemo. You see that Kate Middleton is going to be getting so-called preventative chemo. You think of all the barbs and the arrows that the royal family takes, and then you think about in your own family, in your own situation, the suffering that sometimes seems overwhelming. It's not one, it's two, it's three punches in a row. It's sad. And I think that makes us step back from some of the hate and some of the vitriol, some of the lies, the false witness that is born by one politician against the other. We see it in our own lives. And isn't it ironic that on this weekend, some of these stories come to light? Jerome, you pasted a story on our show prep sheet about this young lady who, by accounts of her family, the lady who was the assailant in the Hazelwood East event was actually a pretty good student, apparently, and allegedly had been bullied. And this is by in no way, shape, or form meant to defend what she had. But now comes the story that the family says that this young lady wants to talk to Kaylee Gain and apologize. Interesting story. I mean, I guess we've become so cynical in this time. Are we at a point where we're all suspecting, well, this is just a legal ploy. This is just a cynical play to try to get some leniency, to get Andrew Bailey to back off from making charging her as an adult, as he said, actually on our morning show in Columbia. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Where are you going at this point with this story? You think it's genuine? You think it's we could sure use some genuine humility and remorse. I think all of us in this world could use a little more of that, along with gratitude on the other side.
Yeah, I thought the timing of it all was a little interesting. Again, growing up the way I grew up, when somebody beats you that viciously, nobody comes forward and apologizes. So I don't know. I was in that Easter spirit, remembering the forgiveness of Jesus Christ and the example he wanted to live, and so the idea of forgiveness was on my mind, and that just happened to come through my feed. And so I think if they are sincere and genuine, it does not at all excuse the behavior. It was clear from, I think, everybody that saw the video, it was clear that the lady that had her head busted against the ground repeatedly was not in a position to be able to defend herself. The fight should have been over. There was no excuse for continuing on and doing what was done. But I do think that it shows some form of empathy with the victim, that they are willing to extend an apology on behalf of the aggressor, and whether or not that's a legal ploy. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not in the courtrooms, unfortunately. I'm not an expert body language reader, but I do think that is something that we don't see a lot these days. And even if it's not, like, the family themselves, I don't believe are going to be in any legal trouble. It would be the lady who actually did the assault that would be. So for the family to offer that on her behalf, I think is a step of remorse, and it's something that should be taken into consideration with, the spirit of forgiveness. That would be my take on it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to think that this country could get back to a place when where before there's a rush to judgment, before there's, I mean, you're right. I mean, certainly in a legal sense, once, when a fight is occurring and it becomes a different matter and steps up, and Andrew Bailey has said this, when someone can no longer defend themselves, the fight's over and the assailant needs to back off. Certainly our base instincts will get the best of us. And sometimes, I mean, look inward, look at the mirror, everyone. Have you overreacted? Have you sought revenge? Have you sought retribution rather than justice? Those are two different things, of course. It's difficult not to let those primal instincts boil to the surface, but Lord knows they certainly do. I think we'll just have to see where it plays out. But I find it an interesting story, and we'll have to see. If the law is the law, and if the young lady is to be charged more aggressively because of the overreaction and the overreach, so be it. I guess expressions of remorse and, prior history or lack of said, and in fact, what was going on the other side of the fence will probably be taken into account when and if there's a conviction, and then in the sentencing, right? I mean, I think that's often what plays into it. Perhaps we have some legal eagles out there. I bet we do, one or two or three, who can maybe weigh in on it. I'm curious what you are thinking. Those of you in the legal profession, those of you that maybe work in the courts and have seen these kind of instances. There are reports that Kaylee Gain is making slow progress. I fear that there will be long-term, um, you know, disability potentially based on just what we saw and the fact that the coma lasted as long as it did. And I don't know whether it was induced or not. That remains to be seen. We'll have to see. Well, in terms of personal conduct in that whole silo, we'll be talking about Bill and Barack and Joe yucking it up at a big event on the one hand, and in the same city, Donald Trump consoling the family of the fallen police officer up there. Governor Hochul being ushered out. Well, as she was leaving the wake, where she spent a brief moment, she got a big earful from one of the attendees there. That'll be on our plate when we talk to Sergeant Betsy Bratner Smith. She's, of course, with the National Police Officers Association. She'll be with us at 8:06. At the top of the 7 o'clock hour, Tim Jones will be with us. And it's interesting. I'm interested to see what Tim says about a story that Jerome, again, this is an interesting one out of the KSD.com website, reporting on Bill Eigel, who, of course, is running for governor, Senator Bill Eigel, who's quite a firebrand. There's no doubt about it. And Bill, of course, a veteran as well, and has made quite a splash over his push and his absolute line in the sand, non-negotiable stance, it seems, on property tax reform. I think we'd all like to see some of that, wouldn't we? But some among, those of us that watch this have said, well, the Freedom Caucus isn't getting their way because sometimes they come off a little too aggressive. And the Freedom Caucus says, well, that's because no one's getting anything done. It's an interesting thing to watch while the GOP at large takes it on the chin, because people look and stand and say, you guys, what are you doing? You've got the supermajority, you got the governor's mansion. Why can't you get these things done? And so Bill comes out, and there's a picture of it on the KSTK.com website. We ought to place that on the show page of Bill up on the big screen, a huge screen. And there's a massive throng out there allegedly cheering after he's saying that he's going to call to eliminate personal property tax. Well, apparently there's a different story, right, Jerome?
Yeah, so I was reading through it, and so for context, it's been a popular meme since 2016. It was a clip of some soccer fans watching an amazing soccer play. Now, I'm not a big soccer guy, but they're all, like, this entire pub is just cheering, and they're going wild. And so over the years, people have replaced the clip of the soccer thing with just mundane things. So what it appears to have been was Bill Eigel posted online this classic meme, but it's a video of him talking about reforming, getting rid of property tax in Missouri, and the crowd goes wild, and it just seems like anybody that knows about the meme would know what he's doing. And so one of his political opponents accused him of faking his campaign and reminded him that under the new laws, it is illegal for him to do so, which I think is a little ominous. It's like, I get if you don't get what he's trying to do, it may seem like he's tampering with evidence, but I mean, come on, it's even on knowyourmeme.com. So but
I don't know about that. So that's what kind of how naive I am, Jerome. I had not seen this meme, and I don't pay that much attention to these kind of things. I should. Now I've another site I need to check. What is it called? knowyourmeme.com?
Yeah, and it's got all sorts of like different templates. Like it's basically like an archive of all the memes from the internet history.
Uh-huh.
But so what I think it is it's probably an appeal to people my age that would understand what he's doing. But for people like you that are out of the loop a bit, I can understand how it looks like he's falsifying. He's trying to make it look like he owned all of his political opponents. But for people my age, I think that it was directed at us, and I thought it was hilarious. So I guess we'll see how that goes. I don't imagine him being malicious with it, because from having him on our show before, I don't think he was trying to misdirect people. No. I think he was just kind of having fun with politics.
So this is the kind of deal where you take, it's almost like the meme is a green screen, although you can see the meme, but then there's a placeholder there on what the audience in the meme would be watching, and you can put your video or a still picture, you can put any kind of content in there and make it look as though there's a crowd who's going ape over your
and people have on like those old DVD players, the DVD logo just bouncing around the screen. There was one where they literally put that as the video that the crowd's going wild over. Like they've done edits for the past 6 or so years at least, with all kinds of mundane, really silly stuff. So I just think it's a generational thing that got taken out of context. But that's my 2 cents.
Well, the thing is, so I guess this legislator, Missouri Representative Ashley On, who I think is running for office, isn't she? I believe she's running for state office. I could be wrong, but she has she referenced a bill, HB 2628, which is passed the House. It's not yet law, but it, quote, prohibits any person or entity from within 90 days of election. Well, I guess that would be, no, we're not within 90 days of August, so I don't think we're there yet. Distributing a synthetic media message of any candidate or party for elective office who will appear on a state or local ballot. I don't know. I'd have to think about that a little bit. I mean, if you go to a licensed site or even an unlicensed site, I mean, I assume, is this a meme that if you were to use it or if I were to use it, Jerome, that we might get prosecuted or we might get a letter from the meme's lawyer that says, hey, you have to pay me a licensing fee or not? I don't know.
For those that don't know, memes are public domain. I just want to say that much right now.
Okay. So let's assume that I did that. I mean, I don't know. Is that synthetic? How is that any more synthetic than taking a picture online from a publicly available site or a video, what we call B-roll, and then placing your image in it? I mean, that's been done for a long time. We do that all the time when there's a green screen on the back of you, and then, you take an image. I've done that. I used to do a product called the Virtual Checkup, and it had a microphone, and my brother did all the background work, and it had little flashing up as I would talk about a story about this or that. I'm like a reporter, like an anchor doing the story reporting, and the contents is on the background, the bullet points or whatever. Well, that's technically synthetic, right? But I guess candidates can't do it under this law, but media people can. I don't know. I question that. I think that may be a mistake. I'm not sure I'd vote for that. I think what I would vote for and the intent is to prevent someone from doing a likeness of Jerome. If Jerome's running against Bill Eigel and saying, hey, Jerome is, put an AI deepfake of Jerome next to a Ku Klux Klan rally. I mean, I get that, that I get, because I think there's a different story there if they create a likeness of you with AI. But if it's a legitimate picture of Bill giving a speech coupled with a meme that's out there, I don't know that I want that to be illegal. That's up to their opponents to call them out on that, or the media, whatever. All right, well, there you go. That's the start to the show. When we come back, Elon Musk, I don't know. This guy is gaining so much stock value in my opinion, just in terms of the fun that I enjoy, that I get out of watching him on the X, on the Twitter. He found a British comic the other day that had some fun. We'll play that when we come back for you. It is, after all, a joyous weekend, and we'll have a little political and some sardonic joy this morning. We invite your calls as well. 314-912-1019. It's the Randy Tobler Show on News Talk STL. NewsTalkSTL.com, a way to find the show, by the way. 1019-94.1. We'll be back.
With so much happening.
I think it was President Reagan said, we're from the government. We're here to help.
So much to talk about.
Our education secretary flubbing one of Ronald Reagan's iconic lines.
9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
You never want to miss a moment.
There's nothing about this that shows anything good about Hamas.
On air, online, and always on your smart device.
The vast majority of those that were taken captive on that day are still there.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tim Jones here. The anniversary of last year's April 15th hailstorm rapidly approaching. Let my friends at Eureka Contracting and Roofing inspect your roof for storm damage prior to the 1-year insurance deadline. They'll evaluate your damage to determine if the loss is insurable. If it is, they'll walk you through the entire insurance claim process just like they did for us. Your only out-of-pocket cost will be your deductible. Plus, having your roof inspected before the spring storm season will give you peace of mind before the next big storm hits. Call Eureka Contracting and Roofing, 636-938-ROOF, 636-938-ROOF, eurekacontracting.com.
To all our incredible supporters, we at the David Dorn Foundation say thank you. Your 5-star online reviews that you recently posted are beacons of encouragement on our mission to assist first responders. And a shout out to Steve Katraba, who reviewed us with these powerful words. The Dorn Foundation continues to fill a need in the public safety community and thereby to the public. Steve, your words are more than a review. They show the impact we're making for first responders. To read more strong reviews, Google the Dorn Foundation now.
The U.S. Submarine Force is known as a silent service. As a 20-year naval submarine officer, I can no longer stay silent about what is going on in our schools. Hello, I'm Sam Young, and I'm running for the Francis House School Board. The local NEA supports candidates who push sexual indoctrination and political activism in our schools. Let's go ahead and torpedo that. Instead, we need to focus on academic excellence, promote traditional values of hard work and meritocracy, and remove radical activism. Vote for veteran Sam Young on April 2nd. Paid for by Citizens for Sam Young. Join Lockhart Treasurer.
Hello, fans of the paranormal. I'm Frankie, host of the newest show on News Talk STL on a Garage, and we'll be discussing everything paranormal, from ghosts, demons, hauntings, and aliens to Skinwalker, Bigfoot, fairies, and the Chupacabra. Every Saturday night between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., me and Jeremy will discuss mysterious events in St. Louis and surrounding areas, including gateway families and unsolved true crimes. That's right, it's all right here exclusively on News Talk STL from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Saturday night.
Tony Colombo here, along with Tim Jones for Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Rodney and Jen are the #1 home selling team in the area, and I can say that from personal experience. They sold our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible, which put us in a great position as we tried to find our perfect new home, and with help from the Wallners, that's exactly what we did. Christine and I couldn't be happier with our experience working with Rodney and Jen Wallner. And Tim, the numbers speak for themselves.
That's right, Tony. Everybody knows the Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. And if you're looking to sell your home, right now they have so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. They're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the St. Louis region, you can put the Wallners' experience and work ethic to work for you. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call Rodney and Jen Wallner now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
Thank God for the daylight. I spent a long time in the dark, felt good saying goodbye.
Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer, on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
I wanted to play a fun little clip for you from a guy named Dominic Frisby. Elon Musk posted this and he said, yeah, I think it was one of those single word said true. This guy's a British comedian, and it's just sort of a take on our political scene and a parody, a little bit of sarcasm, a little bit of some sardonic humor. You got that, Jerome? Here's the first verse.
Polite and smart and punctual, it once was good to be. You answered for your actions, and a woman was a she. You'd stand up for your people, if needs be, even fight. But now, if you uphold such values, then you are far right. Oh, we're all far right now, we're all far right now. Peterson, Rogan, Shapiro, E-I-E-I-E-I-O. We worship Mussolini, his portrait's in the loft. Must say Twitter, Heil Hitler, we're all far right now. Oh, you say you're in the middle, a moderate individual, a Gladstonian liberal. You once laughed at Donald Trump, you're probably a fascist too.
All right, well, he's fun. And it's fun. I hope that in this political season, with all the vitriol that has seemed to just infiltrate every campaign at all levels, that first, politicians can laugh at themselves and laugh at, if they're going to laugh at one another, they ought to laugh at themselves. Secondly, I think it's good to take a step back from time to time in the heat of the battle and realize that when the left calls the right far right, and when the right calls the left far left, and when everyone's just trying to most of us anyway, just trying to gut out a living. Sometimes a deep breath and a little humor is exactly what we need. And so it's it's good to see comics like that doing that. You used to see that kind of humor on Saturday Night Live. It was whether a president was Democrat or Republican, they took shots at both of them and talked about their idiosyncrasies, some of their peculiar characteristics. The same with the old late night talk shows. No wonder people don't watch late night TV anymore. The hatred of Stephen Colbert, who, by the way, didn't he moderate or host or MC the big event the other night with Billy and Barack and Joey? I think so. When it becomes that hyper partisan, it's not fun anymore. So hopefully they'll lighten it up a little bit. And I love guys like what's his name, Sean Barish, the guy that does the Donald Trump imitations so well. That's great. There ought to be someone doing that. There are people doing that with Joe Biden as well, and hopefully people can lighten it up a little bit and realize that ultimately, no matter what the politicians do, no matter what laws they pass, if you don't have a moral and I'll put it in quotes, righteous. I don't think any of us are righteous, but people attempting to be like Jesus and to walk in those footsteps, I don't think you have a country. Forget about borders. Forget about Federal Reserve. Forget about the Treasury Department. Forget about anything. If you don't have people running these institutions that have some sense of moral and scruples, all is lost. And I wonder whether we have that anymore. I don't know. At the various highest levels, what I see, I don't like. Do you? I don't see it. That's why I've always been an advocate, and I remain one. I don't know why we focus so much on the presidential election. It shouldn't be that important. Who you vote for Congress and Senate, and even closer to home, your state senators, your state representatives, your governor, I think that's even probably more important. Boy, wouldn't you love to see if we could get it down to where whatever tax burden you paid totally would go more in that direction at the state and the municipal level than to the feds, who then take out a large chunk of it in overhead and carve out for bureaucrats that are members of government employees unions. God love you, you government employee union types. God love you. And then there's a cabal. They donate to the legislators, the congressmen, the senators, and then of course they create more bureaucracy, more of a need for more of the government union workers. You know how that thing works. They tried to break it up in Wisconsin. There were riots in the state house. Wherever there's been a pushback against that, it doesn't work out real well. But anyway, I digress. There are people doing good things. There are governors, and to make my point, there's governors doing very good things. Did you see Florida Governor Ron DeSantis? Gosh, I wish that guy was a better candidate. Oh, man, do I wish he was a better candidate. I wish his candidacy would have gotten off to a better start. Had they coupled a better start for him with no indictments on Donald Trump, I think we'd be having a separate discussion here. I think that we'd really have a race. But the first indictment with Alvin Bragg and the silly, first it was the hush money for Stormy Daniels, and then all of these, the silly Letitia James indictment, one after another. And then, of course, down in Florida, you've got the Mar-a-Lago, documents case. And then you got Fannie Willis going after him. You got Jack Smith going after him in D.C. as well. Had those not come down and DeSantis was an opponent, I think you'd have seen a different race. It'd have been a different primary race. But that's water under the bridge. DeSantis signed into a law that puts to end, or at least intends to put to end, something that it just frosts me that in these United States of America, based on property rights, that's one of the Western ideals that Western civilization is built on, is property rights. And these stories have now come from across, the country, from the West Coast to the East Coast. And we have immigrants making YouTube videos to fellow immigrants saying, hey, I know how to do this. You go illegally, you cross the border, you squat in a home that has been moved. They've exited. It's awaiting sale. And it's uninhabited, and you just go and get entry into that. And if you can hang on for 30 days in many jurisdictions, it's yours. Don't legislators out there, don't be passing bills about memes and synthetic media. Fix that one. Fix that one. There's a man being prosecuted out on the West Coast because he changed the locks on his home when the squatters, I guess, were coming, were living there. And when they left, he changed the locks. He's now being prosecuted. Guys that throw people out who are squatting in their homes. What is that all about? I mean, anyone tell me that. If anyone out there knows a bleeding heart liberal or is a bleeding heart liberal that can justify that, give me a call. And I'll even tell you what my first question is after you try to justify that. My first question is, I'm going to challenge you on this one, liberal bleeding heart caller. Why don't you just give someone the key to your house and let them take it over? Because you're welcome to come over in my house and stay, and I'll rent a Holiday Inn. Okay, I'll do that. And you can take my house. And then I want it to happen to you, and we'll see how much your heart bleeds for these people then. You're welcome to come in my house. I'll make sure you're out by 29 days. But I just want you to know how it feels to have squatters come into your house and take it over under some legal construct that some crazy person, whoever thought up that law and anyone who voted for it needs to have a mental health examination. You've got to be mentally ill to justify that. We just were able to close on our house, Drennan Bailey Properties. Bailey Properties did a great job of doing that for us. Drenn's a good friend of mine. He's in the St. Louis area. The house sat vacant. I would go up and mow the grass, and I'd make sure the water wasn't running all over the place, and things were okay. These stories were coming out. I started going up more frequently. The house was on the market for 8 months or so. I don't know. And I got to thinking, my gosh, this could have happened to us. I don't know if Missouri's laws are that way. It's unclear to me. But Governor Ron DeSantis signed HB 621 into law. And he just said clearly, we're putting an end to squatter scam in Florida. While other states are siding with the squatters, we are protecting property owners and punishing criminals looking to game the system. Good for him. And it's so common sense. This should sweep the land across all 50 states. It's just amazing to me how it happens. The other thing that he's done that's under controversy, and we should discuss this before we talk to Tim Jones at the top of the hour. Tim will be joining us at 7:06. I'm going to have to ask Tim about the Bill Eigel meme thing. That's going to be an interesting discussion because I wonder what his take on it is and on laws like this in general. After all, he's former Speaker of the Missouri House, so I'm curious from a legislative standpoint whether he thinks this will cross the finish line. This bill that this legislator has proposed and has passed the House, where you can't have synthetic media, whatever that means. And then, I think it's going to be a very murky area and probably very difficult to prosecute or to sue someone for. But this whole issue of shutting down social media to those under 14, that's another high-profile law that Governor Ron DeSantis passed or signed. What does that mean? Is it something that we should really look at carefully? There are people, Jonathan Haidt is one of them, H-A-I-D-T, I think is his name. He's got a new book out, and he talks about the rewiring of the brain. And I heard a podcast with him. We ought to try to get him on if we can. In fact, I'm going to see if I can do that. But essentially, his argument is, look, this is as toxic to the brain of young people, that is social media. They're spending, the numbers were astounding, 40 to 50 hours a week. The kids are spending, young people are spending the equivalent of a work week on social media. Now, it's one thing to spend time surfing the internet, trying to find the answer, like going to the Khan Academy. By the way, you homeschoolers out there, you non-homeschoolers out there, the Khan Academy is a great free resource for education. It's like free tutorials on math and science and stuff. It's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with kids spending time on the internet exploring the world. That's a beautiful innovation and revelation to our time. Social media, on the other hand, is probably antisocial, really at its core. It takes kids away from face-to-face communications, and it really enables them to do asynchronous communication, which is not the way human beings or any primate species, for that matter, any species in general, communicate. Things are done in real time. Now, yes, on FaceTime, but even on Messenger, on texting, it's not synchronous communication. That's a totally different way that our brains are being rewired to be able to ponder the answer, to think things through, to strategize, and to hold back your answer, to not be associated with the nonverbal forms of communication, both facial and body-wise, which is, some say, a larger part of communication, the actual content of the words. That, along with other components, make it a very, very a deep and dangerous pool where denizens run. Let's just put it that way. Why don't we talk about that? What are your thoughts? Should Missouri ban social media contact? Forget about TikTok. That's one part of it. Under 14, under 16, under 18, none at all. 314-912-1019. It's News Talk STL 1019 94.1 on this Easter Saturday on Easter weekend. We'll be back.
There once was a great speaker called Martin Luther King. Said character's what matters, not the color of your skin. But conduct doesn't count now, just your identity. If you should ever question this, you're racist, obviously. Oh, we're all racist now, we're all racist now. Off to the gallows we must go, E-I-E-I-E-I-O. Worse than Winston.
Analysis.
I'm glad you're talking about this.
Opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL.
Are you fed up with paying too much for lightning-fast doctor visits with too little information? Well, I was too, and decided to create an alternative. Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler here, asking you to take a look at no copay, no deductible visits with me and my team. That's Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Let's face it, the system's broken. No respect for your money or your time. So learn about a better way for your primary care. Schedule your discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com, shepherding you to medical freedom.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for the cleaning pros at Zero Res. It's time for spring cleaning, and there's no one that can help you with that more than the team at Zero Res, especially with this great offer. Book a cleaning in March, mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Plus, you can take $50 off your air duct cleaning and 20% off your upholstery, which is a service we've used many times. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high-quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Attention. This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. That's 800-797-0711.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s.
I should have been a cowboy.
Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks.
Let's go, girls.
Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com.
I'll go back.
Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa.
I love this station.
Children, time
90s new country streaming now. This hour, The Randy Tobler Show is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer, on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. This is News Talk STL.
Welcome back into the program. Tim Jones joins us at the top of the hour, 7:04, 5, 6, in that area. And then, of course, Virginia Kruta. We always look forward to those discussions at 7:45. And at 8:06, we're going to really get into this whole issue with what happened up in New York City. I think it's really struck a nerve with Americans. This perpetrator with 21 priors, violent priors. And apparently the person in the car was a violent criminal as well, somehow out on probation or bond. The crazy bail bond laws that Governor Hochul has endorsed and that have been passed there in New York City, that's a template for what's happened across the country. I mean, how much are we going to take of people that are criminals? How many crimes, violent crimes, does an individual need to commit before you say they're not rehabable? They're career criminals. It's in their DNA, sad to say, but we need to protect society from them. I mean, you begin to pinch yourself and ask, boy, I don't know, man, is there something wrong with me? Things seem just so obvious. I mean, at least on the extremes. Can we agree that after 12, 13, 14, 15 violent crimes against property, even crimes against people, whatever, where you've taken a proactive action against either the personal or the property rights of another individual, and you've been in and out of the system, and certainly there's rehab efforts going on. It's not that these people are just locked up and nothing happens. You know that there's counseling, there's all the feel good, the crunchy, kumbaya people are trying to rehab these people. Some people can't be rehabbed. And at what point do we just say, no, enough, that's it? Build another prison, not another gravesite. Build another prison. Don't dig another grave. Maybe that's the bumper sticker, Jerome, that we should have, Build another prison. Don't dig another grave. Perhaps that's what we should do. Start the movement. It's just...
I was going to say that's exactly when it comes to the idea of being able to defend yourself. A lot of people, the argument is, I would much rather my family see me in a jail cell than a chalk outline on the ground, when it comes to having to be my own first responder. So especially with these big cities, they don't allow you to defend yourself. The only thing that's really going to truly deter crime is if the potential assailant is afraid of the victim. And that's, unfortunate that they're not.
We've talked about it before with your experience in Joliet. And as I think about it in the context of this discussion, when I asked you, why don't people that live around criminals, around gang leaders, around the bad guys, why don't they call them out? You said it's because they're intimidated, that it's retaliation, it's retribution, right? I mean, there's this cloak of fear. Well, what have we come to when the cloak of fear of bad guys is more than the cloak of fear of the justice system? Think that one through. I mean, we're in a funny place, right? I mean, there's something really screwed up about that. And there ought to be such an overwhelming sense of and a deep foreknowledge that, man, if you commit something wrong, you are going to be in much deeper trouble than, if you call out, or if you fail to go along with, or if you fail to become a part of a gang operation or a gang, maneuver. I don't know. It's just crazy. Well, speaking of breaking the law, I guess you better not drive through a red light or roll through a red light, or maybe as that yellow turns to red. In St. Louis, traffic lights are being installed, traffic cameras, I guess, after being announced in 2023 with a no proposed timeline. city's plan will include technology that will make it possible to identify the driver of the vehicle. Now, where are we on this, Jerome? I know you said this is a pretty chilling thing. Are there cameras actually in place now, or is this a proposal?
So, what I was reading about when I first heard the story last year was that they were only going to be putting them in the most violent, crime riddled areas. And the idea was to stop people, that stole a car or that are like trying to do hit and runs. But I've noticed, because I work in St. Louis for my full time job, and I do gigs all around the Missouri area as a freelance videographer and photographer. And even in my own neighborhood, I live in one of the safest areas near St. Louis, one of the safest suburbs in the area. And they recently, in the middle of the night, they've been tearing down the old traffic lights and installing these new ones that have all these cameras set up. So being, from the Chicago area, I can tell you right now, there are lights where it'll be green for a while, and you think you have the right of way to make a left turn. You're going to make a right turn, and the yellow light is just a smidge too short, and next thing you know, you're turning through a red light, and they got you on camera, and then you get a ticket in the mail. And so I don't think that this, especially from reading some comments from online forums from people in the St. Louis area, the reason why it wasn't implemented sooner was back in 2015, the St. Louis Supreme Court, or the Missouri Supreme Court, shot it down, citing, of course, the Fourth Amendment, but also the idea that, let's say your car gets stolen and somebody runs a red light and they speed around and all that stuff. Well, how do we know that you were the one driving? It's unconstitutional to punish somebody that didn't commit a crime. So these ones actually are going to have facial recognition software that they can basically identify the driver of the vehicle and the vehicle itself. And if that doesn't make you think of communist China, who have cameras like that in every city block that can track you from the time you leave your house to the time you get back home, that's just, it's unbelievable that it's going through. This is not just going to stop and prevent crime. A lot of people are even arguing that the criminality reduction aspect of it will probably be very minute compared to tracking people down that might have an expired license plate, or that made a right turn and a no right turn section when nobody else is around, or ran a red light when nobody else is around. And it's scary to me.
Well, and think about it, where this could lead to, Jerome. I mean, as you get me thinking, what if you're okay? So it's illegal to be on your phone and be driving now, right? I mean, that bill passed. Well, okay. Can you imagine the harvest? I mean, my gosh, they could make enough money to cancel the property tax and more than make up for it if they just started trolling these cameras, these traffic light cameras, for people that are, reaching onto the dashboard to touch, answer the green handset on their cell phone, because it's hands free. And maybe they've got an older car that doesn't have controls on the steering wheel. I don't even know how to operate that. I have them on mine. I don't know how to do. And what if you're getting a call and you get another call and you get another call from someone, maybe your kid's at home, a turnkey kid, and did I say a turnkey? You know what I mean? A latchkey kid. And, maybe the house is on fire. Oh, I don't want to get caught by the red light camera, so I'm not going to answer the phone. I don't know. Oh man, it's intrusion. But you know what? There's a good thing about this. The St. Louis census will just keep going down and down and down. I hate to see it. It's a once great city, but the census will keep going down and down and down, as people say, as you say, I don't want to live in an Orwellian dystopian society. I just don't want to do that. And people will move out. They're already moving out because of criminality. And you're right. When you talk about the lives saved, in the story you sent me from News 4, First Alert 4, interesting. They talk about anecdotes. Police Chief Robert Tracy assured the committee, because it was sort of a split committee hearing, that his department would follow the law, citing his experience from fast cities. I think this helps change behavior. And then they talk about someone, there were a Chicago, I guess, two people from Chicago that were killed tragically when they were struck downtown, a mother and a daughter. Last year, 4 teens died in a crash off Forest Park Parkway. 4 other people were injured in the crash. And this is no indictment on the police. This is a policy statement. Excuse me, we need to have our police officers, because of course their ranks are diminished and it's tremendously difficult to keep staffing full. We need to have them in the tough precincts battling against the daily gun violence, the daily shootings, the daily knifings, the daily crimes against property that happen. That's what we need to have them, not sitting behind a computer looking to see if Jerome happened to grab his cell phone or if he rolled through a red you're going down a 35 mile an hour. And we've all been there. You do your best. When yellow comes on, if I can, I stop. Once there's that magic and sad moment where, oh my gosh, it turned yellow. I'm right there. I can't stop in time. If I do, I'll be in the middle of the intersection. You go through and it turns red as your tail lights exiting the section. And oh my gosh, now you're going to be under tension. They're going to come after me? Another idea, before you come after someone who has one of those moments where you're caught in that in-between moment, it's happened to all of us in good faith. Why don't you head down to the border, close the border, stop the violence, stop the fentanyl dealing, stop the sex trafficking, stop the crimes that happen at our C-stores. Oh, that's a great story we got about Tashora Jones. Talk about needing a mental health examination. We'll talk about Tashora Jones and what she said about the owners of C-stores and criminality going on there. But we're out of time for this hour. When we come back, Tim Jones joins us on the Randy Tobler Show. Stay tuned.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Retirement planning used to be easy. You put in your 40 years with the company, get the gold watch, and life's good, right? Wrong. Randy Tobler here. Planning for retirement today involves balancing critical decisions regarding your investments, pensions, Social Security, and more. That's why I'm urging you to start planning now. It's also why you should connect with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. They bring a combined 100 years of wealth management experience to help you with your retirement plan. You can hear Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert every Saturday morning at 9 during On the Money here on News Talk STL 1019. Their team is ready to help you design your retirement plan with the care and commitment you deserve. Request your complimentary retirement plan consultation today at clearpathinvesting.com or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey News Talk STL family, this is Marissa Jones with Jones Air and Water. I am so excited to announce our newest addition to our services, nutrition and wellness coaching. If you are looking to lose weight, increase energy, get rid of those headaches, balance your hormones, or simply find a healthy balance in your lifestyle, give me a call today. Mention News Talk STL and receive 10% off any nutritional service. Call us at 636-899-1040. That's 636-899-1040.
So, you want Steph's Pizza, but you're in Lake St. Louis and it's just too far to go. Not anymore. Now you can feed that Steph's Pizza craving quickly and conveniently in Lake St. Louis. Same great menu with a new location, 111 Pond Fort Trail in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peters on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis. Check them out at stephspizza.com because tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Larry Connors, USA.
Hunter Biden and his artwork.
Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my words. What a coward.
The art gallerist apparently claimed that one of Hunter's financial backers purchased most of his paintings for $875,000. What's this? Oh, it's a scribble, but really it's a man walking into his future and seeing his past at the same time.
You are the epitome of white privilege.
They were laundering money, and he had all of his friends coming forward to help him out.
Larry Connors, weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
That can handle 1,000 tons are being deployed at the site of the collapsed Baltimore Highway Bridge brought down by a container ship. A flotilla of cranes, tugs, barges, and salvage vessels will be used to break the bridge into chunks that can be lifted to reopen the port. The bodies of 4 workers have yet to be recovered. Governor Wes Moore says the loss of the Francis Scott Key Bridge has a wide impact.
What we're talking about today is not just about Maryland's economy. This is about the nation's economy.
A state transportation official says there's already a focus on building a new bridge. I'm Norman Hall.
And the tools needed for the project are coming into place. They include 7 massive floating cranes, 10 tugboats, and 9 barges. The Biden administration's push for electric vehicles has hit a few new speed bumps. Greg Clugston has more.
More than 2 years after President Biden signed the infrastructure bill into law, only 4 states have opened public EV charging stations funded by the legislation. The president has set a goal of creating a national network of 500,000 chargers by the end of the decade. Right now, 175,000 are available. Meanwhile, Ford Motor Company will drastically cut the number of hourly workers at its factory that builds the Ford F-150 Lightning as sales of EVs slow. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Terror group Hamas supporters are facing backlash after interrupting a Holocaust survivor at a Berkeley City Council meeting.
During the Thursday meeting, Hamas supporters yelled at council members and those who voiced support for Israel, cutting off 89-year-old Holocaust survivor Suzanne DeWitt, who was voicing support for a Holocaust Remembrance Day proclamation.
That's Tasha Stevens. More from townhall.com.
We all know that aches and pains come with simply getting older, but it doesn't mean you have to accept it. That's why I want to tell you about a special lady, Leah from Ohio, and her Relief Factor story. One Sunday, Leah was sitting on the couch in so much pain she was literally in tears. That's when she decided to try Relief Factor. Just 8 days later, she found relief, and she continued to get better and better. To quote her, she said, "I am truly amazed at this product. Like me, who after 9, almost 10 years, almost a decade of low back pain, lost that pain thanks to Relief Factor. If you're living with aches and pains, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel and live better every day. Get the 3-week quick starter pack at relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. It all comes with the feel better or your money back guarantee. That number, 1-800-4RELIEF, relieffactor.com.
It rained marshmallows at a suburban Detroit park on Friday as children raced to snatch up thousands of the treats being dropped from a helicopter. Lisa Dwyer reports thousands of marshmallows rained down at the annual.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. Give Benjamin Schaefer a call at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Missouri Wild Alchemy is a local and family-owned business dedicated to providing consumers with high-quality cannabis and education. They strive to make customers feel comfortable and to help curtail the stigma of cannabis use by having a professional and well-educated staff. They're proud to carry products from several Missouri cultivators and manufacturers. Missouri Wild Alchemy, now serving recreational customers 21 and above, as well as patients. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram, or visit MissouriWild.com. That's MissouriWild.com.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800
515-2397.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA.
Donald Trump says there's no way President Biden can support the police. His left-wing nuts won't let him.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL.
Good morning, everybody. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to the Randy Tobler Show here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us every weekday at 2 p.m. for Colombo and Katie.
Also, keep it here for my Saturday morning show, the Bluff City Outdoors Show, today at 11. Now, back to Dr. Randy Tobler. Love you, Doc.
They lost a hero, really. I mean, it's just a hero. They're devastated. The family is devastated. The police force is devastated. The whole country feels this way. And it's happening more and more, and it's really a lack of respect for law and order, and we have to have law and order back in our country.
Well, that was former President Donald Trump, of course, in the contrasting presidents palling around for money versus presidents consoling family episode that we saw unfold the other day. And to help us unpack that and other issues going on, we always enjoy talking with our good friend Tim Jones from the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show here on News Talk STL every afternoon. At Speaker Tim Jones on X, formerly Twitter. Hey, Tim, thanks for checking in with us today before what I understand will be a Mar-a-Lago and El Dorado Country Club worthy golf match this morning. Is that where you're headed?
We can only hope so, Randy. We can hope so that today is a lucrative day for me and my pocketbook. So playing with all of my buddies. I want to give a shout out, Randy, to my crew. Randy, a lot of them listen to you. They tell me on the way to the course every morning. So I want to give a shout out to the crew from the Legends who I will be playing with this morning. And Randy, thanks for having me on in the middle of, as you were referencing earlier, these high holy days for those of us in the Christian faith. Randy, you know, us Catholics, we spend a lot of time in church over these 3 days, and we had some beautiful ceremonies and masses up at Sacred Heart in Eureka. I want to give a shout out to Father Joe and Father Leo, who always put on such a beautiful remembrance of the passion, the death, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And you know, Randy, for those who believe, these are wonderful, glorious days. We are steadfast in our belief that that we will rise again along with Him. But Randy, for those who don't believe or who are in pain right now, who are suffering in whatever way, who are having challenges, perhaps, Randy, they could maybe think about the fact that the possibility that over 2,000 years ago, a stonecutter, son of a carpenter from Nazareth, was not found in the tomb. He was not found in the tomb. And that was probably even more terrifying than if he had still been there. And that possibility, Randy, survives over 2,000 years later. The most famous human being to ever walk the planet. We have to at least say that.
Yeah, no, at a minimum, right? Even for those who don't have the spiritual connection to the God-man, Jesus Christ, and they only acknowledge the extraordinary and just unexcelled and never again matched love that came from Jesus Christ. At a minimum, we can say, boy, if our politicians, if our leaders, if the people leading our justice system had that same heart, maybe things would be a little bit different, because Jesus was about accountability too. He rebuked people and at the same time said, now repent and go forth. He said it to the woman at the well. He said it to other sinners. And I think that often is lost on the Jesus story too. And that's what makes me sad when you look at the absolute unrighteousness of our justice system all the way from New York City that ultimately leads to a 21 priors criminal murdering a young police officer, leaving a young widow and now their fatherless child. And when you think about that, all the way up to the persecution of, no doubt, a sinner, Donald Trump, like the rest of us, a sinner, and the undue persecution. I mean, boy, we could use a little bit of some people sitting in the pews and taking in a little bit of the faith story, couldn't we, when it comes to their leadership decisions?
We could, Randy, and the contrast that you've been discussing all morning between what Donald Trump, a former president, was doing this week versus what the current president was doing. Or maybe, I don't know that Joe Biden decides to do much of anything these days, Randy. I think his handlers pretty much push him there and guide him there, and he's kind of like salmon in a stream. But if he has any decision-making capacity left in his noggin, how horrific that he did not decide to pay homage to one of the fallen. I mean, talk about some symbolism here during the week where we commemorate Good Friday. You know, the sacrifice of Jesus that we were mentioning, the sacrifice of this officer, Randy. And the other thing that the left gets oh so wrong about this time of year or any time of year or anything regarding at least the Christian faith, and I would argue the Jewish faith as well, is how they always conflate the role of government with religion. You know, Jesus did not say the government should do all these things. He said, render unto Caesar what is his, but you yourself, you need to do these things, right? Like the government shouldn't do them for you. And I'm not going to call Jesus a Republican or a Democrat, but he was all about freedom and liberty and the individual doing the right thing for their common man, right? Hoping that the collective comes along. But it's not supposed to be some other amorphous oppressive regime, whether it's a government or a dictator or whatever, doing these things. We as individuals are supposed to be helping our common man and woman. And Randy, that's why private charities and churches and other organizations always do a better job of taking care of our common man and women than the government could ever hope to. And back to that contrast, Randy, this really, all of these things should hit us. All of these horrible deaths, whether they're at the hands of mass shootings or whether they're police officers gunned down in cold blood, they should all affect us. But some, Randy, of course, affect us more than others. And, you know, I think many people know I spent nearly a decade in New York. I'm very familiar with this part of Long Island, Massapequa, not far from where I lived several times. I lived out on the island. I went to St. John's University School of Law and lived there in Jamaica, Queens, had a ton of friends all over that area. And so I have a connection in the sense that I know the kind of people that live there. They're good people. A lot of times New Yorkers get bad raps, you know, but that area of Long Island, Randy, that's hard-working, blue-collar, middle-class folks. And I can imagine this officer's family, 31 years old, leaves behind a wife and a son that has no idea what's going on because I think he's barely 1 year old. He'll have to read about this someday and the heroism of his father. And we had one former president take time, the guy who's supposed to be the mean guy, right? The bombastic guy, the arrogant guy, the guy who doesn't care about anyone, who's the sexist and the misogynist and the rapist and the xenophobe and blah, blah, blah. That was how ironic that was the guy showing endless empathy on a day. Donald Trump said and did all the right things that day. If we had that Donald Trump every day between now and Election Day, Randy, it would be a landslide in this country for him. And then you had Joe Biden, whether intentionally or involuntarily, because like I said, I think he's guided completely by his handlers these days. They're yucking it up at some high-dollar elitist fundraiser with, you know, hard left, progressive, hateful comedians in the epitome of elitism, Manhattan. I mean, Randy, that's a scene from the Hunger Games, right? You got Joe Biden hanging out in Pan Am, and you have Donald Trump out there in District 12. Unbelievable.
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, the contrast was stark. And of course, on the left, what would you expect? No good deed, no benevolent act, no consolation coming from a politician on the right goes unpunished and labeled as purely political, purely, the cynicism that just emanates and just billows out of the studios from MSNBC and CNN is just overwhelming. I mean, okay, let's, even in a worst construct, let's say, all right, there's a certain element of optics there. Joe didn't even have the decency to, as I understand, call the family. The White House made a press statement, one of the vanilla pablum statements that they make. And it's just amazing. Now, I don't know if it warmed your heart, but it sure got me going in a much better way when I saw this crew top shaven guy in a black suit, apparently an attendee at the wake, just given an earful to Governor Kathy Hochul, who apparently only spent 10 or 15 minutes there. And she skedaddled out of Dodge, didn't she? It was good to see, as it was good to see the Sergeant Benevolent Association call out Democrat politicians, said, don't even embarrass yourself by coming, you people who have endorsed, defund the police type policies. Don't even embarrass yourself by showing up to the funeral today. It's good to see vocal, overt, public pushback, isn't it?
Yeah, Randy, the deck chairs on the country's political Titanic, they're definitely being rearranged, aren't they? And to the point you just made, folks who either themselves or come from families that just automatically voted for Democrats for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they're having a change of heart, aren't they? Our new political bedfellows in the Republican Party are once again, they used to be there back remember the Reagan Democrats? They're coming back home now. Blue collar, hardworking people, the men and women in blue, even some of the unions. Let's remember, Reagan had the support of some of the trade unions in his reelection, because at some point people realize, okay, I'm not going to be governed by what some big union boss tells me. I'm going to be governed by what's good for myself, my family, my community, my state, and ultimately my country. And a lot of old-fashioned Democrats, the Truman, JFK, even Bill Clinton Democrats, are realizing, finally, it's taken them a long time, that party's gone. All they've got left is nostalgia. And so, the Police Officers Association, which is a union, it excoriated the New York Democratic politicians who were daring to come to that funeral. They gave them to that wake. They gave them advance notice. They said, "Don't bother. We don't need your crocodile tears." And boy, isn't that relevant? Because Randy, maybe you as the good doctor here can diagnose whether the hashtag liberalism is a mental disorder is finally really totally true and not just a catchphrase. Because Randy, the logic of these people, it fails all reason. They want to defund the police, but yet they want to pass more laws to go after law-abiding Americans. But if you're defunding the police, who's going to enforce those laws? And if you're electing Soros-funded prosecutors, who's going to prosecute those laws? So, Randy, nothing that they advocate for makes any logical or rational sense. It's all about spinning a narrative to their hard left base.
No, you're so right. You talk about how it's ironic, in a matter of one or two election cycles, we have seen a total upheaval of sort of the alignment, the demographic alignment of the electorate with a political party. I mean, the Republicans through the 90s and the early 2000s were sort of the party of the rich. They were the party of the fat cats, the party of Wall Street, the party of corporate America, right? And now I read the other day that, look at the donors that went to this big posh event, at Radio City Music Hall. And yet the donors, the small under $200 donors, the $5, $10, $50, $100 donors, are far outweighing on the Trump side, outweighing what's the same on the Biden side. And so you're seeing this total realignment. The Democrat Party is now the party of the elite, the party of the rich, the party of the crony capitalist. It's amazing. It's happened in 8 to 12 years, right?
It has. Yes, and not only the elites, Randy, but the arrogant elites, right? The folks that think they know best. And that's where the Democratic Party has gone wrong. Randy, back in the day, Democrats were not the way they are now, in the sense that they believed they always believed in bigger government, but they didn't necessarily believe, and many of them did not believe, there was a majority of them that didn't believe in an authoritarian government. They just wanted more money in government. They wanted more of your money so they could. They were the bleeding heart liberals, right? And you could almost have some empathy for them. Okay, well that's really nice. I'm glad you want to do that. Just don't do it with my money, So that wasn't. There was not a lot. There was no malice there, Randy. Today there is. Because as I said, that Democratic Party, the party that wanted to take more of our tax dollars and spread it amongst the masses, like the benevolent Robin Hoods that they wanted to be viewed as. Those people are gone, and they've been replaced by these authoritarians. They want to force you to do things. They want to take away things from you. They don't want you driving your gas-powered cars or even having your gas-powered leaf blower. They want to force those. They don't want to make any of these things choices. Eventually, Randy, I hope we have no fossil fuel use and we can go tell the Middle East to literally go pound sand, right? But until we get to that day, we can't unilaterally disarm. So, yeah, Randy, it's a big difference between the big government liberals of old and the authoritarian big government leftists of today.
Talking with Tim Jones from the Jones and Arp Show every afternoon here on News Talk STL. All right, so I have to ask you, Tim, you have one of the savviest political minds that we know. And you've been in and out of you've been in elected office, but stay very connected with politics and strategic discussions going on. And you understand how internal polling and, how to interpret all this. I'm confused, Tim, and I know you're going to be probably unpacking this more on the show next week, but you see this new Fox News poll that shows widely disparate views in favor of Donald Trump when it comes to economy, border, public safety, on and on and on. And yet, when you look at the national polling, even in the battleground states, the same gaps don't follow through. Now, granted, in the Fox News polls and others, in the healthcare matter, and especially on that big gorilla in the room, that's the abortion issue, Biden, is winning there when it comes to the polling. But, how do we reconcile what we seem to be wide differences on the top three issues in most voters' minds, right? Economy, public safety, and border, and foreign policies in there too, right? And Trump wins on all those, but yet when it comes to the actual who you're going to pull the lever for, not so good. What can you help me unpack that? I struggle with it. There's a tension there in my mind. I can't figure it out. You're savvier than I am at these political issues.
No, Randy, I have a very strong theory. I have a very strong opinion, and I think a very plausible theory on this. Randy, it's tough to fight the national narrative machine. It's tough to fight widespread it's state-sponsored, state-coordinated, Pravda level-esque, that's the old Soviet newspaper, Pravda level-esque propaganda. Randy, when it's unrelentless, when it is with extreme malice, when it is unrelenting, when it's 24/7, 365, Randy, that's the result you get. Now, look, does Donald Trump bring some personal issues to the table? Sure. I don't get affected by his personality. He makes, like Katie Fitzpatrick always says, he makes me laugh. Maybe I get the joke more than some Americans. Maybe those on the left, they just kind of completely lost their sense of humor. But so, Randy, when you have a media machine that is telling you for the last 8-9 years that Donald Trump is the most evil, horrible person on the planet, and that's all you're told, and that's all you watch. So, Randy, we hear, you and I, we have trouble getting our minds wrapped around it because we speak to a lot of brilliant people throughout the week. We're not in an echo chamber here. But, Randy, one thing I do to make sure I know what's really going on, I watch a lot of the Sunday morning talk shows so our listeners don't have to. And if you just sit there and go through CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, and just watch that Sunday morning lineup, Randy, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The hate, the vitriol. There's never any quarter given. Look, there's been a lot of scoundrels who have been at the highest seats of power in this country over the last 235 plus years. Donald Trump's nowhere near the worst of them. He has his issues, but ultimately, I think he wants to truly make America great again. I don't think it's just a cliche. I think he wants to preserve the country and the opportunities. What's he get from all this? He's nearly 80 years old, and yet he wants to leave this country to his kids and grandkids and all Americans better than he found it, and he's worried that may not happen. So, Randy, I blame it on the media. I think that's why you have the disconnect. People know what the problem is. They see who's causing the problem, Joe Biden. They see who's exacerbating the issues and the challenge in this country, the Democrats and the hard left. And so they're like, oh, okay, so they're doing all the wrong things. Ooh, but wait a minute. Everybody says, everybody meaning the mass media, that Donald Trump's evil and wrong. So, I don't know. Is that the right decision? It should be easy, but because of the media, it's not.
Okay, I get it, and I think you nailed it. And of course, they play up those issues and diminish, and often don't even report when it comes to selection at the editorial level of the stories to report. I mean, it's not only what they hammer on, the abortion issue, the health care. Oh, yeah, you got an insurance card, but you can't see your doctor. Forget about that. And then they just totally omit editorially the carnage that we see in New York City, the things going on, the Haitians streaming into Florida. You don't see a CNN reporter, an MSNBC reporter, an NBC or CBS reporter for that matter. So I think there's both errors of commission and omission. You nailed it so well. Hey, well, I know you got to get on to a big golf match.
Yeah, the non-reporting, Randy, is one of their biggest, I think, miscarriages of journalistic malpractice these days, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, well, may all your drives be long and all of your greens experiences be one and no more than 2 putts. Okay, that'll be a good round. Yeah.
That's the best blessing I could have ever gotten from you, my friend. Thank you so much.
And truly, I hope you and yours have a blessed Easter. And I really appreciate you emphasizing at the top of this interview exactly this. If there ever was a reason for the season, Christ's death, sacrifice, suffering in our behalf, and then resurrection to keep us saved and eternally optimistic and full of hope is what it's all about. Thanks, Tim Jones. Look forward to hearing you all week on the Jones and Arp Show. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Randy. Happy Easter to you and your wonderful family, and thanks for being here for everybody in News Talk STL Nation here on this gorgeous Easter Saturday.
All right. Have a good one. All right, there he is, Tim Jones. When we come back, we caught a clip that really nails it on the January 6th Trump witch hunt absurdity. We'll play that for you and point out just how crazy the left is in the persecution of this dude, Donald J. Trump. More coming up with Virginia Kruta at 7:45 and Sergeant Betsy Bratner Smith. More on the policing in New York City and, the absence of true justice there and in other places at 8:06. Stay with us on the Tobler Show.
I hope we have no fossil fuel use and we can go tell the Middle East to literally go pound sand, right? But until we get to that day, we can't unilaterally disarm. So, yeah, Randy, it's a big difference between the big government liberals of old and the authoritarian big government leftists of today.
The team that brought conservative talk radio to St. Louis is back. This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. Mike Ferguson, Tim Jones, Dan Bongino, Tony Colombo, Vic Porcelli, Katie Fitzpatrick, Chris Arce, Ken Williams, Larry Connors, Gabe Pfeiffer, Joe Pags, Randy Tobler, Ben Shapiro. Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Even though we talk about some of the things that we can't control, it infuriates us, and it, the what ifs about where is the country going can bother you. The one thing that you can be very, very confident of is that when it comes to your dental health, getting honest, true, precise, patient-oriented service in exactly the way you would give whatever service or good you provide or sell, that's what Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles comes. That's what they do. And that's what I get every time I go out there, whether it's just for a regular cleaning and checkup or whether it's for, a little restorative stuff here or there. And I really appreciate that kind of a relationship with caregivers, dentists, hygienists, dental assistants, office staff that really think about that golden rule, doing to me what they would want done to them when it comes to the service. That's the kind of feel I get and the vibe happening out at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. So whether it is that regular checkup that is so important to your dental health, and by the way, your overall health, there is a connection there, or whether it's more advanced service, they have all of the tools, all of the techniques, all of the training, and most importantly, the passion and the precision and the professionalism that you demand and deserve. 636-978-0226. From the youngins to the oldins, they can take care of it all. 636-978-0226. AdvancedDentistryNow.com, the website. That's Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
My name is Todd Showalter, and I'm announcing the Right Mind Show is officially running Saturday nights at 5. I'll now open the floor for questions.
Is the Right Mind Show funny at all?
No comment. Next question. Yeah, you, different reporter with the same voice.
Your co-host is very cute.
Not a question. I've got time for one more.
Do you do any impressions on the Right Mind Show?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's Joe Biden getting out of bed.
The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday afternoons at 5 on News Talk STL.
The Missouri Army National Guard can help you get the education you need to land the career you've always wanted. The Guard will pay up to 100% of your tuition for up to 39 credit hours per academic year at 90 colleges and tech schools across the state. You're eligible as soon as you enlist. Learn more about the many benefits that come with serving part-time in the Missouri Army National Guard. Visit nationalguard.com today. Sponsored by the Missouri Army National Guard, aired by the Missouri Broadcasters Association and this station.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL.
Hey, it looks like you like to get up early, so Monday through Friday, listen to me from 5:30 to 9. Mike Ferguson here, and you are listening to The Randy Tobler Show right here on News Talk STL.
Welcome into the show, 314-912-1019. That's our number. If you'd like to talk to Jerome, say hi and thank you, because, boy, without Jerome, I'd be lost. I mean, he keeps it together here because, my mind is just a stream of ideas floating down the river, and like logs in the river, I pluck one out here and there, and Jerome never knows where I'm going. Right, Jerome? We can get it out there. It's transparent.
Yeah, I keep your heart pressure medication. I keep some adrenaline for you. I keep a double dose of coffee for you. We got to keep you up in tip-top shape.
Yeah. Jerome makes sure that the blood pressure medicine is doubled on Saturday mornings, because once in a while it gets a little out of control. We don't want to have me pop a gasket on the air. That's not a good thing. So Virginia's going to join us at 7:45. Betsy Bratner Smith from the NPOA, the National Police Officers Association, at 8:06. I don't know about you, but I am seeing a very pleasant tacking to the right, and I mean right in terms of correct as well as right politically, of our friend Elon Musk. I mean, before he bought Twitter and became a champion of free speech, I think he was probably more of a lefty. I mean, I don't know that he ever proclaimed that so much. Frankly, I never really followed him that much. I knew he had SpaceX and all that, but and Tesla. But I found a post here the other day that I thought was really wonderful. I just want to share it with you. He posts, modern Western civilization has extraordinary empathy compared to its power. This is also arguably its greatest weakness. He's talking about modern Western civilization and America in particular. With the nuclear bomb, America could have subjugated every nation on earth with ease. Hitler and Stalin would certainly have done so. Instead, America helped rebuild Germany and Japan. Think of that. Think of that. All the liberals out there, who think about America and how bad we are and how how scarred we are and what a broken society we are. And the Constitution was never right in the first place. Well, didn't America that had the economic and the moral engines to be able to win the war that could have ended up with us all being subjects to the likes of Hitler and Stalin, and rather turned it around and not only stopped the tyranny, stopped the carnage, the millions that were killed, but then rebuilt whole countries. Well, all of Europe for that matter, in one way or another. And he goes on, there is no historical precedent for a nation with so much power helping rather than destroying its defeated enemies. It's fascinating. I mean, here's a guy who he's a deep thinker, and he's really taken that zoomed out historical view to try to celebrate America's greatness. Why is it that we've come to a point in this country where we can't say, look, the Constitution and its principles and the founding documents and the founding principles of all men, and at that day, there was a disparity between political power and the wielding thereof between men and women. That was the culture of that day. That doesn't mean that you judge people by the culture of this day when they were making grand and existentially important policy matter decisions under a different context. But they wanted to make all people equal and recognize the importance of that. And in fact, it was a threat to, in fact, the union that ultimately was founded when there were disagreements, because there was those that said, we're not going far enough. We need to address the slavery issue and do it now. It didn't happen soon enough. But why is it that there are large swaths of people, I mean, 30, 40, how many percent of the American public that agree with the college students and others that protest and say, we need to tear it all down, burn that Constitution up, and start all over again? And you know what they're looking for to replace that Constitution. They want a Marxist, communist, socialist society. And it is their utter lack of the witness of history that says that never, ever, ever has, nor will it work out. Because that is unfortunately the result of the flesh and human side of our limbic systems and our being and our choices if left unchecked, which is, if you have something I want, I will find a way to take it from you. Most of these people are not people who are of faith, true spirituality, true Judeo-Christian heritage. I'm going to say it. They may claim to be that. I don't believe they truly are. Because if they are, they would recognize that a true, free, and successful society, as John Adams and others said at the time of this founding, can only exist under a moral and righteous people. And people that will storm the streets and burn buildings and wear masks, are you listening, Antifa, and attack police officers and other citizens with whose policies they disagree, have no spiritual soul. They have no moral, religious, spiritual, or ethical guardrails. They live with their limbic systems. Left to our own desires and without the constitutional context under which it was passed, which is that moral and religious and righteous structure, which we celebrate probably more than any other time of the year, the Christian community, this season of humility through Lent, suffering shared on Good Friday, and then the hope that springs eternal, which is embodied in the resurrection tomorrow. Without that side of the equation, the Marxists, the communists, the I want what you have and the government will take it from you to give to me side of the aisle, that'll prevail for a short while. So anyway, I just think this is a critical time that we try to share these Judeo-Christian foundations and cornerstones that were necessary but not sufficient, because at that time, what became sufficient to that necessary construct was pairing it with a political structure that recognized that your freedoms, your rights, and yes, with them your obligations, don't come from the government. The government's there to protect, the Constitution was there to protect you from the government taking your God-given rights. We're at a time where this is a critical election, because we're at a time when people are asked, Ketanji Brown, look at what she said in the arguments about the government colluding with Facebook to censor you and other social media platforms. She basically said, we've got to make sure that the government has its right to protect the people from their free speech. Hello? Really? We're at a critical time. The teeter is either going to totter or we're going to get it back on the right side. And we're going to take back our God-given rights and recognize our God-given obligations and ask of the government only what the government can do and needs to do, because we cannot do for ourselves. Sovereign borders, an equitable and active justice system that truly recognizes due process and truly recognizes an equal application of the law to all people. And some building roads and infrastructure, that's something the government needs to do. But other than that, it's going to be dependent on us, a free and virtuous, at least virtue-seeking people. I'm not virtuous, not as much as I'd like to be. Neither are you. You know it. That's why we go to church and we confess in our own way and we pray for forgiveness and mercy and a better way forward. I hope that you all do that, and maybe invite someone to church for you tomorrow to celebrate in the wonderful goodness and hope that happens on that day. When we come back, Virginia Kruta, talk to her on this Easter Saturday on the Randy Tobler Show. Stay tuned for more.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make America great again?
Live and local.
You lose your Dixon notch. Yeah. You lost America. I saw it etched on the coins up there.
This is News Talk STL.
I have a personal story about why I trust McGuire Moving and Storage. A relative needed to escape an unhealthy relationship. Josh, Christine, and the McGuire team were understanding, even comforting. That's why I'm honored to endorse McGuire. Since 1935, McGuire's been moving and caring for families. So, moving a home, office, local, or long distance. McGuireMoving.com. McGuireMoving.com.
Tony Colombo here, along with Tim Jones, for Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Rodney and Jen are the #1 home selling team in the area, and I could say that from personal experience. They sold our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible, which put us in a great position as we tried to find our perfect new home. And with help from the Wallners, that's exactly what we did. Christine and I couldn't be happier with our experience working with Rodney and Jen Wallner. And Tim, the numbers speak for themselves.
That's right, Tony. Everybody knows the Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. And if you're looking to sell your home, right now they have so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. They're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the St. Louis region, you can put the Wallners' experience and work ethic to work for you. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call Rodney and Jen Wallner now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
Hey guys, Ken Kruger. I've gotten to know these guys really well over the last few years. Yes, St. Louis Bath and Renovation. They're the most trusted name in bathroom remodelers in the St. Louis area. In fact, if you need bathroom repairs, complete bathroom remodeling, or handyman services, call St. Louis Bath and Renovation at 314-477-6476 or email Rob at stlbr.com. That's St. Louis Bath and Renovation.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer, on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
Welcome back to the program. Hey, it's primary day. Well, it's municipal election day on April 2nd, and some school board elections as well. I know there's a big one coming up here in our area as well. So we make sure you get out and vote if you're in one of the school districts, Rockwood or others, or Francis Howell. Virginia Kruta joins us now. Virginia, happy Easter weekend to you. Hope you're having a blessed time preparing for the big day tomorrow.
Same to you. Actually, I'm driving. I'm in Georgia again. We were in Florida this week for spring break. So
you're on your way back. Okay,
on our way home. Yes.
Well, let's talk about Florida. Where you at? What were you hearing on the ground about a couple of bills that caught a lot of national attention? Ron DeSantis signing a bill saying no squatters. This is a no squatter zone. And on the other hand, no social media for those under 14, because after all, we don't allow kids to drink because it's dangerous for them. We don't allow them to go to the casinos or own a gun. Okay, let's start with squatting. What do you think about that? And what were you hearing on the ground in Florida?
Well, first, I mean, I didn't hear much because we were on the beach. So people weren't.
Oh, you were squatting on the beach. That. Did you declare the beach your own then? Is that it? Well, you weren't there long enough, were you?
I was thinking about it, but yeah, no. No, I think that was a really good move on his part. As for the social media one, I'm a little hesitant to back stuff like that because I think that should be the parents. You know, Ron DeSantis up to this point has been really big on like parental rights in education, parental rights in other issues. But parental rights in allowing your kids to use social media, not so much apparently. So that I don't know. The libertarian in me says that's a bad idea.
Okay, well let me challenge you there.
Protect you. What else can he step in and protect your kids from?
Okay, well, I agree with you. In a sense, I agree with you. But in terms of logical continuity, wouldn't that argue then that we should we shouldn't restrict the sales of alcohol or entrance into a casino or the ownership of guns by minors? Because after all, the parents should be able to police that. I'm just being a devil's advocate here.
I would absolutely say on ownership of. The problem is that we have already taken steps down this road that suggest the government is a better parent than you are. And I don't think we should take more steps. I think we should take fewer steps. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not saying that we'd be able to undo any of that stuff.
Right.
Or even that we should necessarily undo any of that stuff. What I'm saying is I think that the market will, it should even out. And I do think that parents should be in charge when it comes to, I'm not saying that I think that parents should let their kids drink. because I know some parents would, but is it the government's place to tell them they can't? That's kind of, it's a sticky area for a lot of conservatives, because you're like, well, I don't want kids to drink, obviously. Right. And I don't want kids to have drugs, or I don't want kids to go into casinos or what have you. But at the same time, is it the government's job to tell you they can't?
Right. No, I understand, but I guess I think just for the sake of healthy discussion and debate, it's always good to, at least as a thought experiment, say, well,
I'm
we
not
have a
saying, I mean, it's a good argument to have.
Yeah,
I just think that, again, the libertarian in me balks at giving the government power over a decision that I think parents can handle.
I struggle with it myself. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, but I guess that since we have a precedent of the government asking certain businesses to assist in the management of these dangerous and addictive practices and habits and harmful. I heard Jonathan Haidt on Barry Weiss's Honestly thing the other day, and it was a fascinating discussion. He's basically saying, look, these kids are spending 40 to 50 hours a week, many of them on social media, and it is rewiring their brains. And all they have to do is, he clearly outlines the upslope in anxiety, depression, self-inflicted damage.
And I definitely think that now here's where I think that we have a difficulty, because most parents who have teenagers are Generation X or really, really young millennials, or really older millennials. Sorry.
Yeah.
These are kids who did not grow up with social media. Facebook wasn't a thing until I was 10 years out of high school, right?
Okay.
So social media really wasn't, I mean, there was MySpace before that, but that was different. You didn't have access to it on your phone. You didn't have, and so all of this stuff, we're trying to navigate our kids using stuff that we didn't have at that age. So we don't know. You're not seeing the impact until almost after it's too late sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the generation of kids who drank out of the garden hose and stayed outside until the streetlights came on. And they're dealing with kids who don't want to get off the couch because everything they need is on the phone in front of them.
Yep. Yeah, and it's a brave new world out there for parents. And I tell you, we have a daughter who's got about a 6 and a 3-year-old, and a 5 and a 3-year-old, and now another. And I'm glad I'm not trying to parent in this environment. Okay, and the other thing I wanted to talk.
I have a 16 and a 17-year-old right now.
Yeah. Oh boy, God love you. Oh man.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, let me ask you this. Another area of in the national news that got my attention. I hope you can give me an assessment on this, where this is going to play out politically. RFK, who is an interesting candidate, clearly making some waves in the national election. He names Nicole Shanahan, the wife of the former wife of the one of the founders of Google, as his running mate. What do you think? What impact is that combo, that team, going to have on the national election?
Well, I think it eliminates the possibility that he'll be taking votes from Trump in a large in any kind of large capacity, because she is very liberal. This is a woman who helped fund the Los Angeles District Attorney Gascon, who has let, I mean, he's never met a criminal he didn't want to let out of jail. So this is very, very soft on crime guy, and not a, so I think the idea that ticket would take votes away from Trump is unlikely.
Yeah.
Which is, good if you're a Republican, because you want somebody who's going to siphon votes off the Democrat, which obviously is Joe Biden right now. So that's good. I mean, had he named somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, who apparently is in the running now for Trump's running mate, if he had named somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, he would have siphoned more from the middle. But because he named somebody as far left as Shanahan, he's going to siphon from the left, most likely.
Yeah,
you're gonna get a few people probably from the right, but mostly from the left.
Yeah, I was glad to see that, actually, because I think heretofore, up until then, I was concerned it was going to be sort of a equal siphoning with a little more from Biden, but I think that tips the scales now, certainly electorally,
right, exactly.
in favor of Trump. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, hey, listen, I wish you safe travels through Georgia and a safe landing back in Illinois. You'll be back to do the Easter egg hunt tomorrow morning, right? Everything will be good
as far
at the
as
Kruta household?
We're trying. We should get home tonight.
Now, doesn't your family or your husband's family, don't you guys have, aren't you involved in a bakery? You're going to be up all night making like hot cross buns or something, aren't you?
No, I'm going to be up all night doing nothing because I don't work at the bakery, but my, and the bakery's closed Sunday anyway. So they are closed Sundays, whether it's Easter or not. So they did all the work this week, and that's one of the reasons I took the kids on the trip, because it keeps us out of the house while Jim is trying to sleep and get work done, and and that's pretty much all he does the week before a holiday.
Sleep and work, sleep and work. Yeah, well, that would describe what we used to think was the formula for a great American dream. Now it's just universal basic income. Virginia Kruta, thank you very, very much for being with us. Always love it. Look forward to next week, and a joyful and blessed Easter to you and yours.
Same to you.
All right. That's a great hit there with Virginia. She has some deep and very, very, very thoughtful insights. Always enjoy talking with her. When we come back at 8:06, you'll be listening to Sergeant Betsy Bratner Smith. Watch out. You may have to keep your eye on the volume knob. She's going to get fired up over New York City cop and that fallen police officer. Stay tuned.
Ferguson in the morning.
The Nevada primary election was yesterday, and you may say, what? I didn't know that. Well, it's because nobody cared. Nobody cared. And so the Republican Party in Nevada said, we're not participating in the primary. We're going to do a caucus, which is coming up on Thursday. It's possible that Nikki Haley won't get a single delegate in that particular caucus. Oh, gosh, yeah. As well.
It just boggles the mind, though, how you get beat up shadowboxing. You know what I mean?
Mike Ferguson in the morning. Live and local weekday mornings at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
There's a battle right now in our schools, and I'm ready to fight for our children's education. I'm Adriana Kuhn, and I'm running for the Francis Howell School Board. Our schools are being injected with gender ideology, critical race theory, and advanced classes have been removed for the sake of equity. My opponents are endorsed by organizations that push these agendas on our youth. I vow to keep radical ideologies out of our schools. Vote for Adriana Kuhn April 2nd so I can make a difference in your child's life. Paid for by Friends of Adriana Kuhn, Kevin Pelkey, Treasurer.
My Bellamy, you were a child of the sun and the sky and the deep blue sea.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me for Groovy Grooves every Saturday to hear songs like this and memories that will take you back to a groovier place and time. Be sure to check out the playlist at newstalkstl.com for more Groovy Grooves.
And now for something completely different.
Groovy Grooves with Ron Clutho, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-pressure colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. That's 800-696-2871.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Nation's ports safely accompany increasingly big ships to bridges and other critical infrastructure. Cost-conscious shipping companies have over the years resisted calls for extended tugboat escorts, which add cost to every transit. Tasha Stevens reporting.
RNC Chairman Michael Whatley says Republicans need to simply point out the contrast between life under Joe Biden and under former President Trump if they want to win this fall.
We are going to make sure that we are using any and every available platform to put our message out there and demonstrate to the American people the amazing contrast that we have in front of us right now.
And Whatley was interviewed this week by the Salem Radio Network's Hugh Hewitt. It's been a year since a Wall Street Journal reporter was detained in Russia.
President Biden noted the one-year anniversary of Evan Gershkovich's detention, saying in a written statement that he's working every day to secure his release.
That is correspondent Greg Cluxton reporting. New European Union rules aimed at protecting dwindling forests are reordering how the world gets its coffee.
Experts say the rules requiring companies to provide more detailed evidence that the coffee they sell is not linked to deforestation will create new winners and losers. That might help curb the logging that is the second biggest source of carbon emissions. But it also may exclude small farmers, roughly 6 million worldwide, who might not be able to provide the potentially expensive data.
More from townhall.com.
You all know that aches and pains come with simply getting older, but it doesn't mean you have to accept it. That's why I want to tell you about a special lady, Leah from Ohio, and her Relief Factor story. One Sunday, Leah was sitting on the couch in so much pain she was literally in tears. That's when she decided to try Relief Factor. Just 8 days later, she found relief, and she continued to get better and better. To quote her, she said, "I am truly amazed at this product. Like me, who after 9, almost 10 years, almost a decade of low back pain, lost that pain thanks to Relief Factor. If you're living with aches and pains, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel and live better every day. Get the 3-week quick starter pack at relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. It all comes with a feel better or your money back guarantee. That number, 1-800-4RELIEF, relieffactor.com.
Artificial intelligence continues to amaze and frighten in some cases. ChatGPT maker OpenAI has unveiled its new voice engine technology that can clone a person's voice after hearing it for only about 15 seconds. We get more from correspondent Lisa Dwyer.
OpenAI says it will not widely release the technology just yet because of the dangers of misuse in an election year. In New Hampshire, authorities are investigating robocalls.
Katie here, and I'd like to talk to you guys about Michael's Flooring Outlet. You could gain peace of mind with Michael's Flooring Outlet for your flooring and carpet installation needs. Their team of experts ensures that the job is done right the first time, providing you with attentive and a personalized service. Just like my parents, you can trust them to replace your old carpet with beautiful hardwood flooring. Visit one of their 3 locations in Dardenne Prairie, St. Peters, or Creve Coeur, or check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Tim Jones here. I'm with Eric from Newsteaders, Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, Newsteaders has been around since 1961. Tell us the story.
Well,
Richard started this 62 years ago, and we've stayed a local family-owned store since then. We've actually got 3 generations of Newsteaders working in the store. Richard, his wife, his daughter, and his granddaughter, and we all love what we do. We're kind of a St. Louis family tradition, and we do a lot of unique and one-of-a-kind custom pieces, as well as repairs. There's basically nothing that we can't do, and all of our work is done on site, so you can feel secure knowing that your jewelry never leaves, which is unusual now. And we can computer generate images of custom pieces if you want to go custom. We can take that old jewelry that you're not wearing, and we can turn that into something new that you absolutely love.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road, or on the internet, wowdiamonds.com. For Newsteaders, fine jewelers.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
They're not given the respect. The police are the greatest people we have. There's nothing and there's nobody like them, and this should never happen. I just visited with a very beautiful wife that now doesn't have her husband. Stephanie was just incredible. Their child, brand new, beautiful baby, sitting there innocent as can be, and doesn't know how his life has been changed. But the Diller family will... You'll never be the same. You can never be the same. And we have to stop it. We have to stop it. We have to get back to law and order. We have to do a lot of things differently because this is not working. This is happening too often.
That was former President Donald Trump doing the right thing in the wake of a horrific, horrific crime against this fallen officer, his family, the people of New York City. And what a big contrast this week in the behavior of the current and former presidents. Sergeant Betsy Bratner Smith joins us now. She's the spokesperson with the National Police Association. And Betsy, I don't know about you, but I was just so struck by the contrast in the behavior of Joe and Donald this week. Your thoughts?
Well, you're absolutely right. And on a day where we are going to bury Officer Jonathan Diller, 31 years old, 3 years on the job in New York. And by the way, he's the 28th law enforcement officer to die in the line of duty already this year, 90 days in.
Oh my!
What really struck me about this is you've got these 3 presidents at a star-studded event in New York City. And they're being hosted by a not very funny comedian, by the way, Stephen Colbert, just an avowed leftist. You've got Bill Clinton, who used law enforcement, and his wife, by the way, who hates us with a passion. Then you have Barack Obama, who ushered in the war on cops and has such great disdain for law enforcement, which he showed early in his presidency. And then you have Joe Biden, who just sort of disregards us unless he's handed a statement to read that says how much he appreciates law enforcement. And then you have Donald Trump, who goes to Massapequa and meets with a young widow. And I want people to know Donald Trump didn't show up for a political hit on a TV show. He was invited by the Diller family to come to that wake, unlike a lot of other politicians who showed up. And he was an invited guest, and he always shows his love and appreciation for the American law enforcement officer, and we appreciate that so much.
It's amazing, Betsy, that the cynicism coming from the left, and you know what? I had not I had not heard that he had been invited. I thought that I heard that he had flown up from Florida, having an obligation last evening. He flew up, basically made a real quick little junket up there to do what he needed and had to be done, and then went back. I mean, and Joe Biden was on the ground. It was reported in plenty of time. He could have gone and made a brief visit, and I just don't understand it. I mean, it just seems to double down on the left's abandonment in such high profile of public safety and law and order vis-a-vis honoring our police officers.
Well, and Karine Jean-Pierre, Biden's spokeswoman, was asked about this. She couldn't even utter Jonathan Diller's name. She basically read kind of a prepared statement without much fanfare. And Joe Biden and his administration, they never fail to utter the name of St. George Floyd. They're always throwing that name out there, talking about that. And but no, we have to sit through this presidency at a time when, the administration really doesn't, not only do they not care, but they use every opportunity they have to try to discredit and try to continue this false narrative that somehow the American law enforcement officer is the problem. And, Randy, here's something else that people don't know. Most cop killers are like the man that killed Jonathan Diller, career criminals. This man had 21 arrests. 85% of people who kill police officers have prior arrests. 71% of them are already convicted felons. And that is the cornerstone of this entire administration, the entire anti-cop narrative on the left, is we have to de-incarcerate people, get people out of prison. And yet what are we seeing? We're seeing crime rise because people are not being punished.
Talking with Sergeant Betsy Bratner Smith with the National Police Officers Association. I imagine that the fraternal and union organizations that support police officers you guys probably stay connected with one another. I was struck by the strong statement coming out of the Sergeant Benevolent Association, the union for sergeants up there, where they basically said, "Don't you dare!" And they named out, basically you Democrat, council members who are for defunding the police. Don't come and now try to make some kind of a photo op out of this event and gratuitously show up and express your remorse. I mean, after you've done what you've done, that ultimately, leads to this kind of bloodshed and kills police officers. How do you think about that kind of an approach? I don't recall that kind of an overt calling out of truth to power in a long time. How about you?
Well, you're absolutely right. And, I was a Fraternal Order of Police cop in Illinois when I was there. And here's the thing. We are always, we try to be very polite and appropriate, especially, you don't want to politicize the death of a brother or sister. But the Sergeants Benevolent Association in New York City, frankly, they'd had enough. So they started out by calling out two city council members, Adrian Adams and Jumani Williams, who have just been vicious in the media and in their public statements about the NYPD, calling them every name in the book. They also called out many of the prosecutors. And then, I don't know if people saw the video, but Governor Kathy Hochul herself, an anti-police type, until something happens where she can try and change her stance. She went to Jonathan Diller's wake. She went in, met with the young widow for a few minutes, and we're told that conversation was very animated, but we haven't heard the details of it. She came back, and then a man went up to her, and he looked to me like a police officer, but he was in a suit, had quite an animated conversation with her, and basically asked her to leave. So as she and her 4 police officers in suits, by the way, that are guarding her, when they all started to walk away, people applauded her leaving the funeral. So I think law enforcement they're tired of being used. They're tired of people lauding us, and then going right back the next week saying what a bunch of racist thugs we are.
Yeah, I was glad to see that. It's about time that the police officers stop being nice and polite and courteous when they are given nothing in return of like kind, zero. They're given exactly the opposite in the way they're demeaned and degraded and dishonored at all levels of government with this Democrat-led regime that we have in these United States. We're talking with Sergeant Betsy Bratner Smith with the National Association of Police Officers, and that's NAPO. Now, I got to ask you.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm with the National Police Association. Sorry,
Oh,
I'm
National
not
Police
NAPO.
Association. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
there we go.
Let's get.
Okay.
Yeah, that's yours is nationalpolice.org, right? Nationalpolice.org.
Correct. Nationalpolice.org.
Okay, I got that wrong. All right, now we have to talk about a local story that I'd like your opinion on, and this is about traffic light cameras that are being installed in the city of St. Louis. There was a big fight for a long time. There'd been red light cameras in Missouri, and then a Supreme Court decision in Missouri a few years ago said no, that's unconstitutional because you can't take a picture of a license plate and then just because a guy or gal owns a car, get the driver that you don't, then they may not be driving it. It's unconstitutional to charge the owner of the car. Well, now they're saying, well, it's so accurate now with the facial recognition. Proponents of it are saying it gives more certainty to now prosecuting the criminal and getting them for a speeding or a running through the red light ticket. Others are concerned about misuse of such information, illegal search and seizure, and so forth. The police chief here says, "Oh, don't worry, we'll be responsible. Everything will be okay." Does the National Police Officers Association have anything to say about that? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you, this is a conversation around the nation about red light cameras. I personally am not a fan of them because what happens is this technology is used to tell citizens, oh, we don't need as many cops because we're going to do traffic enforcement via camera. Here's the thing. When you pull somebody over for example, a red light violation, that police officer isn't just there to write a ticket. They're there to conduct an investigation. So we're going to talk to the driver. We're going to see what else might be going on. Do they have a driver's license? Have they committed a crime? We're going to have a polite conversation with them. But the red light cameras, again, in my opinion, are more of a revenue generator, and they're more of a way for city councils and county boards to say, hey, we don't need to hire as many cops because we have this technology. And again, are they constitutional? We've had legislation, you just talked about that says they're not. So I would rather see that kind of money and that kind of technology used for things like poll cameras, so that, officers can see what's happening on the street, especially in high crime areas. Red light cameras tend to be revenue generators, and they tend to be used by politicians who don't want to hire cops.
There's a city in mid-Missouri named Columbia, Missouri that rejected, the council rejected, talk about taking some tools out of the hands of police officers. I forget the name of the software. But rather than having to go to an individual establishment, a retailer, a C-store, whatever, and ask them for permission to look at their security cameras, there's a way that those people can opt in and more nimbly give that information, surveillance cameras owned by private citizens or business people, and that was rejected. It's a very liberal precinct there in Columbia, Missouri. I was amazed at how the council did not want to have just a simple opt-in program to help make the work, the very difficult work of the detective work and the investigative process that goes on in an opt-in process. I mean, that's where we are in some of these liberal cities, and I imagine that's not unusual to Columbia, Missouri. I don't know if they're using that technology in St. Louis or not, but you know what I'm talking about. I forget the name of it, but it sort of skips. Yeah.
Yeah, Ring cameras, the company that owns Ring actually took away that opt-in cooperation with law enforcement on their Ring cameras. Law enforcement had technology to be able to go on and ask individual users, hey, can we get your Ring footage? We had a burglary, in your neighborhood last night. Now they've made that more difficult for law enforcement to request. And it wasn't like law enforcement could go in and just, look at your personal Ring camera footage and things like that. It just made it easier for them to ask. So this is what is such a juxtaposition of these, oh, sure, red light cameras, read my face and take a picture of me doing something. But when it comes to solving crime, a lot of these, again, liberal jurisdictions, just like you said, are taking tools away from law enforcement. So very, very frustrating, as again, what is law enforcement trying to do? We're just trying to solve crime. We're just trying to keep people safe. And we come up with roadblock, roadblock and roadblock and roadblock.
Well, Sergeant Betsy Bratner Smith, we really appreciate all the work you and the National Police Association are doing. You can stay in touch with the National Police Association at nationalpolice.org. And by the way, I took advantage of actually taking a look. You guys have free law enforcement homeschool courses there. And I was looking at the website the other day. It's very cool. It's really neat. Philosophy of policing, dealing with the mentally ill, training, police ethics. And it really gives you sort of a behind the scenes, for the layperson, kind of a, sort of a little boot camp, a little 101 in policing. Very nice videos there.
Thank you so much. And we provide that free to any homeschooling parent or a parent who wants to supplement the anti-police garbage that their kids get in school. Go to nationalpolice.org, sign up for our newsletter, take a look at that, and if you can, hit that donate button.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's but well, look, when our municipalities and cities aren't taking care of the police officers, we the people need to do that. Stay in touch with Betsy Bratner Smith. That's Sergeant. That's SGT Betsy Smith, and of course nationalpolice.org for the organization. Thanks so much, and a blessed and joyful Easter to you, Betsy.
Happy Easter to you as well. Thanks for having me.
All right, there she is. Wow, I'm telling you guys, we've got to support the police officers. They are not getting the support they need. Our communities are crumbling before our eyes. And the very people who need the support tend to vote for the folks that are taking that policing support from them. I don't know. It's madness. Okay, it's your turn in the last couple segments of the program. 314-912-1019. Traffic light cameras, memes, and we haven't talked about too much Diet Coke. Well, there may be some of that going down your gullet this weekend. We'll talk about that when we come back. Give me a buzz, 314-912-1019.
Of this entire administration, the entire anti-cop narrative on the left is we have to de-incarcerate people, get people out of prison. And yet what are we seeing? We're seeing crime rise because people are not being punished.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
The U.S. Submarine Force is known as a silent service. As a 20-year naval submarine officer, I can no longer stay silent about what is going on in our schools. Hello, I'm Sam Young, and I'm running for the Francis House School Board. The local NEA supports candidates who push sexual indoctrination and political activism in our schools. Let's go ahead and torpedo that. Instead, we need to focus on academic excellence, promote traditional values of hard work and meritocracy, and remove radical activism. Vote for veteran Sam Young on April 2nd. Paid for by Citizens for Sam Young. Join Lockhart Treasurer.
Folks tell me they just aren't happy with their health care these days. You too? Hi, Dr. Randy Tobler here for Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Trust and relationships, they're essential to great care, and those values define our practice. No bright, shiny objects or the latest fads here, just caring for you with 30 years of experience and making it about you, not the bill. Interested? Schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com, shepherding you to medical freedom.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone an identity, and a cash stipend every month
Mark McCloskey on fire.
that beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Larry Connors, USA.
Hunter Biden and his artwork.
Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my words. What a coward.
The art gallerist apparently claimed that one of Hunter's financial backers purchased most of his paintings for $875,000. What's this? Oh, it's a scribble, but really it's a man walking into his future and seeing his past at the same time.
You are the epitome of white privilege.
They were laundering money, and he had all of his friends coming forward to help him out.
Larry Connors, weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Wait, is it possible that the Republicans in the Missouri legislature are actually going to get conservative stuff done? I've got the update for you on Monday.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. This is News Talk STL.
Welcome back to the Randy Tobler Show. The number is 314-912-1019. Hope that your preparations and your celebration tomorrow are meaningful and full of joy and hope. Hope that yesterday was a time to ponder what suffering really looks like, and the only way to recover from it is to have the God of the universe get in the way of that demon that causes suffering, whatever that demon is that may be bothering you. Let's talk to David now, who's on the line. How you doing, David? Thank you for calling, and happy Easter.
Hey, Randy. Happy Easter, Dave MacArthur.
Hey, David. What's going on, brother?
Well, living the dream, living the dream, but minute by minute. Hey, your comments on the red light cams has stirred up a real thing with me. That recently I read where there's a North St. Louis County state representative who is proposing a law that when you take your vehicle in to get it worked on, if your license plates are not up to date, they can fine the shop, the owner of the shop, of the service shop, for not refusing to work on your car because your license plates are expired. My question is this, Randy: whatever happened to the courts and the judges?
Wow. Wait a minute. So, Dave, that sounds like they're asking the shop owner, the mechanic, to be the police officer, right?
Exactly. You're right, 100%. So who do you think? So what about the first time some jerk comes in that doesn't get his license plates renewed and shoots the guy that owns the shop because he's a jerk to begin with? You know that if he's got 2-year-old license plates and no insurance. That's my point is red light cameras are a liberal's way of feeling good, because they before, then the police were not allowed to pull you over even though you had a warrant, because now it's a no bond warrant, so it's useless. It's a joke, Randy.
Oh my God, I didn't know
to
that.
The freedom of a police officer and a judge, it starts in the courts and prosecuting attorneys. The policeman's hand is tied anymore, so he feels useless. It's not protect and serve. It's submit and get along. That's what a police officer has to do today. It's a joke.
Wow, I can't believe it. Well, I've got a little gift for you now. Dave, I know that you are one of the most fiery, active patriots that the land knows, and I think I don't want you to have a stroke. I know. Take that as a compliment, brother, because you've always been very vocal and one of the most passionate patriots that I've ever known. This is going to get you fired up, and it's exactly in line with what you're talking about. And for those of us just joining us, Dave MacArthur joins us on the phone. I can't believe this. There's a law being proposed by a state rep, right, Dave, that says that if someone has expired license plates and they go in to get an inspection, it's the responsibility of the shop owner to then call that person out, right?
Fine. Yes, and it's a $300
get a load of
fine
this.
to the shop owner.
Okay, get a load of this from Tashara Jones at a conference of city mayors talking about the violence at C-stores and so forth. Listen to this, Dave. This is right up your alley. Do you have it, Jerome? Clip 10.
Sorry, the gremlins are playing with me.
You're fine.
Okay, I want you to hear this. This is really something. This is Tashara Jones talking about. Apparently, there's problems around these C-stores. They're hotbeds for criminality and so forth. Yeah. And well, we don't have the sound, but she's basically saying that it should be the responsibility of the C-store owners. She said we need to make them accountable when there's crime there. Why is it?
For that. Randy, I have come back to the point where I'm almost saying that police officers' hands are tied by the government to a point of the only thing that's going to cure some of this stuff is, squatters. Hey, if I had a piece of property and somebody squatted it, I got 5 good friends with baseball bats, and I guarantee you there ain't going to be no damn squatters in my house. Whatever happened to the ability to protect your own?
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying though, Dave, is it's as though she was holding the C-store owner accountable for the behavior. I mean, but I don't think she meant it in the sense of self-defense, like, hey, if someone comes in and tries to rob you, that you should shoot him. She's basically saying there's something they should do. I don't get it. Why is it their fault?
And here's the thing. Okay, they should do the same thing that the police are able to do right now. You know what that is? Nothing.
What?
Nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a joke.
It's crazy,
it's
man.
Nothing but words to it. I believe this. Politicians, if you don't create chaos, there's no need for them. Just think of this. If you solved the crime issue, what can they mouth about and make promises about to get votes and to get money if the problem doesn't exist? So if the problem exists, you need me. You need me. You got a problem. You need me, and I'm your Messiah. A good one for the weekend we're serving this week. And that's what. And people are just so uneducated and pay no attention in a national press that abides by it all. And it leads to one thing. You need me. Everybody needs us. The little municipality needs the state. The state needs the Fed. And what do you have? You have a central government-controlled country. It's the goal.
Yeah. Well, but here's the problem. You got the government wants to make the victim the perpetrator. I mean, if someone's squatting in your house, you've seen it out in L.A. or San Francisco, somewhere out on the West Coast. A guy he pushed the squatters out. He changed the locks. He's the one getting prosecuted. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I hear you. And if I owned a property, I'm going to be one of them guys in jail. But because we've got, at what point, and I don't know, maybe I am. At what point does it take before we start standing up for ourselves and just start mouthing about it? Stop mouthing about it. Somebody's going to, violence will eventually erupt in this country because people are going to be so damn fed up.
I hope not. Take a listen to Tashara Jones. Jerome has this clip.
Oh, yeah, well.
Convenience stores. We have a lot of violence around convenience stores and gas stations. So how can we hold those business owners accountable and also bring down crime? And then some of the things that we're already doing, we're finding that other mayors are doing as well.
Okay, so Tashara Jones must have a mental illness if she thinks that it is the response. If Dave MacArthur and Randy Tobler open up a BP store down on, Biddle Street, and suddenly there's crime there, why is it our responsibility to prevent the crime against our store? I don't get it. I just don't get it. She must be sick.
She knows it's a totally useless comment, but it sure felt good and sounded good to those people who worship at her doorstep. Oh, here's the solution. Yeah. That's it. We're going to tell these guys they can't let these people hang out on their property anymore. But by law, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to call the police officer, and the cop's not even going to respond because he's so sick and tired of having to deal with it that he can write him what's he going to do? He's going to write him a ticket that they're never going to show up for court for. Hey, I got a real good friend who was a cop, and he'd pull people over with 19 to 25 warrants. And you know what it becomes? It becomes that officer goes, if I take this guy in, it's going to take me 6 to 8 hours to process this guy so that he goes to another jail and gets another no bond warrant issued to him. And he walks, and now instead of having 21, he has 22 useless warrants that don't mean a damn thing.
Yep. Well, instead of more handouts, instead of more debit cards and Obama phones to immigrants, maybe we need to build more prisons. Dave MacArthur, great to hear from you, brother. You have a fabulous and blessed Easter, okay?
Right. Hey, blessed Easter to you and your family. Yeah. Take care.
Thanks. You too. Dave MacArthur. Let's go to Ray on the line there. How you doing, Ray? Thank you for calling the Randy Tobler Show.
Hi, Randy. Well, I'm doing pretty good. Hey, and I'm known as John the First. You named me that guy. So I started using my real name. I got tired of hiding it from it, and the reason why is I'd call your programs or other conservative programs, and somehow somebody would get a hold of my phone number and make threats to me. So not hiding anymore. So here's
wait a minute, Ray. I don't want any insinuation that this program or anyone affiliated with it ever called you and made a threat. Are you saying that's the case?
Harassing our callers. We do not condone anybody harassing anybody that calls us, whether they agree with us or disagree with us.
We've never given a number out. We would never. I have never in 25 years of broadcasting given a number out of a caller. I don't know who the callers are. So do you want to clear that up and continue the call, or shall we stop it now?
Well, it's just, Randy, I haven't gotten that phone call since you guys have been on, phone calls like that since you guys have been on this new station.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you may continue then, but I wanted to be clear that this was not an accusation against me or my staff.
Right? Okay.
Okay.
I'm just telling you. You may not believe me, but that's what happened. I'm an honest guy. So here's my point about your earlier segment with, and I came in halfway through it. I want to call her sergeant or the representation.
Betsy Bratner Smith with the National Police Association.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, talking about what took place with the governor of New York and her attending a police officer's funeral who died in the line of doing his job. Right. Unfortunately, Will didn't like it. The other police officers didn't like it. Get out of here. Because she's a Democrat. And the Republicans have always stated they tend to be the law and order keepers. They're the law and order politicians. Yet, and here's where this really gets my blood going, on January 6th, President of the United States at the time, twice impeached, 4 times indicted Donald Trump, ends up instilling a riot to stop the procedure of doing a peaceful transfer of power to Joe Biden. Now, with that riot occurred. It was planned, and those mega heads, or maggot heads as I call them, beat the crap out of a lot of police officers. Injured 140 of them, and there was a death of 5 of them, may not have been at that time or later time, and he claims himself to be law and order president. Yet a lot of those rioters were police officers, military or ex-military, and that's where I'm so dead against the Republicans making statements like that. They also, Donald Trump also instills hateful statements against anybody that's prosecuting them or a judge. To me, part of the police or part of the law and order are judges, prosecutors, and their staff.
Well, let's talk a little bit about unequal application of the law. Have you ever sold a house or any other good where you thought it was worth more than you ultimately got for it?
I ever sold a house that was worth more than what I got for it?
No, I said, have you ever asked more at the start of a sales process on a car, a house?
Yeah, usually it's a negotiated process. So
most people think that their house or their property is worth more than it is. And you're aware that in the transfer of properties or in obtaining loan for a property, there's always, when there's a loan involved by a third party, there's a vetting and an agreement after the vetting by the lender that the loan is a valid loan in pursuit of that property. That's what happened in New York City. So before you go, but never mind appraisers. The bank has to look at it, Ray. Listen, I want to play something for you, Ray, right now before we head to the break. Do you have that clip ready, Jerome?
Locked and loaded.
Here is the Arizona representative and Navy SEAL Eli Crane concerning your false allegations against Donald Trump regarding January 6th. And thanks for the call, Ray. We'll have to leave because we got to go to break after this, but listen on the radio, if you will. Go ahead.
You know what I love about this, watching where President Trump is at in the polls? I love it because it shows the American people don't trust you guys. And they shouldn't, because you guys are full of it and everybody knows it. There's a few honest journalists in this town, but they're very few and far between. You know how I know it wasn't an insurrection? Because he hasn't been charged with insurrection. And we can all see by the lawfare how he's facing up over 700 years in jail right now, how they've tried to destroy this man, destroy his businesses, that if they felt they had an inkling of a chance of convicting President Trump of jaywalking or insurrection, they would absolutely charge him. You know how else I know it's not an insurrection? Because this is the first insurrection in the history of the world where the people that were a part of it were unarmed. It's pretty hard to do if you walk around and see how many individuals are carrying firearms. All right. Last thing I want to say about how I know it's not an insurrection is because I actually listened to the words of the president. If you're trying to stoke an insurrection, you don't tell the people listening, hey, I want you to go over there peacefully and patriotically. All right? This is not an insurrection. What it is a party that's scared to death of this man because he's America first, and he's shown time and time again he's willing to bust up the swamp, and he continues to beat you like a drum. That's what this is really about.
All right, there you go. And for Ray, a little additional from factcheck.org concerning who died on that day and as a result of what. There was an officer that died of a stroke. There were 4 officers who committed suicide. We don't know whether that was because they felt guilty because they let people in. Who knows what it was, but that was not the direct assault by the people who, by the way, broke the law. And I don't care whether they were blue-haired grandmas or whether they were Proud Boys. I think it was a huge mistake. It was an absolute breach of the Capitol grounds without proper security. We all know when you go into the Capitol, you go through proper security means. I have no doubt about that. And I'm not arguing about that. But don't put up a straw man argument like that. And don't reinvent the truth, Ray. There was not a direct assault on a police officer that resulted in their death. In fact, the only death that accrued from that incident was, of course, Ashley Babbitt. And that occurred at the hand of of a dishonored and previously troubled police officer. So let's get our facts straight, okay? Factcheck.org, Ray, if you want to check it out. But thank you for the call, and let's make it clear, neither this show or anyone ever affiliated with it, nor anyone on any station that I've ever known or been affiliated with, has ever given a caller's number out to the audience so that that caller can be harassed. Let's make that crystal perfectly clear. We'll wrap it up on the Randy Tobler Show when we come back.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
I like supporting local companies that give back to the community. For more than 40 years, Vincent's Jewelers has helped raise more than $1.5 million for local charities. So I'm personally asking that when you're shopping for jewelry, give Vincent's a chance. And in turn, Vincent's will give even more to our community. On Olive, just east of 270. New specials every day on vincentsjewelers.com or Vincent's Facebook.
Caring for a loved one is stressful. It's an emotional time, and we want our loved ones to get the quality of care they deserve. But the cost of long-term care is expensive. In the St. Louis area, it could be $60,000, $70,000, or even over $100,000. Can your savings handle this added expense? Fortunately, News Talk STL listeners have an expert right here. Financial strategist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management shows families tax-efficient strategies to fund care needs. Whether planning in advance, have health concerns, or living in a care community today, solutions exist to fund the quality of care you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Visit SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Alpha LLC, SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
When you go shopping, you may not get the bargain you want, but at least you know and can compare prices. It should be that way with healthcare, but too often it's not. Need an operation on your knee? Want to know what it's going to cost? Good luck. For 3 years, hospitals have been required to provide patients with list prices and have negotiated charges for some 300 services. Only 36%, just over a third, are fully compliant. In Missouri, prices differ greatly depending on a patient's insurance. The cost of a pelvic CT scan, for example, can be 20 times more expensive in one hospital than another. Price transparency allows patients to compare providers, forces hospitals to compete on price, and helps insurers negotiate lower rates. State law should require all healthcare providers to publish prices in a user-friendly form. What we don't know is costing us. The price of healthcare shouldn't be a secret. Check out our 2024 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward at ShowMeInstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
Welcome back to the program. Yeah, we have to get our facts straight. And there's no doubt that I think it was a huge mistake on the part of attendees at the Capitol demonstration that day. But like that Navy SEAL and Arizona rep said, where's the prosecution? They prosecuted Donald Trump over much less things, hush money, asking. I could see how I could ask Jerome, like, hey, man, can you find a few more bucks in that, in your wallet? We got to come up with some more bucks to pay for a meme, Well, I'm not asking him to print money, just saying, hey, you got to, I'm talking about the call in Georgia here that Fannie Willis is going after him for. And there's nothing wrong with having alternate electoral slates. That happened in Hawaii, I believe, in 60. I think it was in the 60 presidential election, shortly after they became a state. So, but to just take fallacy as fact, Ray and other callers who want to offer that, we're not going to tolerate that. We're going to try to keep it as factful and truthful as we can. That's important. Now, we had a caller who couldn't stay on the line, Jerome.
Yeah, so his name was Thomas, and he just wanted to make a quick comment. Unfortunately, due to the way our show works, sometimes we can't get everybody that calls in on the air, but he just wanted to make a point about how no matter what state he's in, no matter where he's at, every time he sees an officer, he walks up to them and he just says, "Thank you for all you do for us. Thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you for your service to us." And the reason why he wanted to make that clear to us is because, especially with all the anti-police rhetoric, and I understand a lot of the attitudes, especially in certain areas with not liking cops, not liking the way they do things. But for him, it's to remind them that there are people on their side, to ease the community tension. If you go out to police officers and you tell them that they're all evil because of the actions of some of them, or you treat them like horrible people, when like Betsy said, a lot of them are just here to try to keep us safe and uphold law and order, then in Thomas's mind, that is something that everybody should be doing to kind of help mend that community support behind the cops and mend relations with them. And I thought that was a really good point, and I thought that was a really powerful thing. So it doesn't matter if he's in his hometown, if he's in another state where he's at, he's trying to teach his kids. When you see an officer, just thank them and just let them know, like, hey, thank you for what you do, and we're willing to work with you.
You're so right. And I think when we think about the officer's sort of mission and motto, to protect and serve, we talk a lot about protection and safety. I think there are so many thousands of random acts of kindness that go on that are never reported, right? That police officers do when they help someone maybe stalled in the. I saw an officer one time. Actually, I think it was a county deputy sheriff, but a police officer, a law enforcement officer pushing. There was a car that's, I guess, started through an intersection and got stalled, and there was a young woman sitting in the car. And here's this guy. He gets out of his cruiser, parks on the side of the road safely off to the intersection, tells everyone to just sort of hang on. Everyone stops. And this guy gets behind this woman's car, and it wasn't any little Honda Civic. I mean, it was a significant, size automobile. And he's grunting and groaning, pushes the car. Eventually, it was a level intersection. Eventually, gets it going and helps get it out of the intersection. I thought, man, you don't hear about these kind of things. You don't hear about these things where there's someone in need of just some help, and in a first responder kind of a way, the officer is there to help. And I think that as well as the public safety component is so important. I think the tide's going to turn. I think when the communities who are being adversely affected by the voting decisions they make, I think that's going to change. Someone's going to get their ear and say, hey guys, what you're doing isn't working out. There's more and more murder. There's more and more gun violence. There's more and more gangs. There's more and more drugs coming out. At some point they have to say, maybe we ought to try someone wearing an elephant on their shirt for the city mayor. Or, you know what I mean? But I guess it's been tradition, and tradition runs deep. And those, a lot of the social services that the left wants to propose, that sadly are needed because of the left's very policies. It's like, the progressive left reminds me of an arsonist who sets fire to a building and then slips into the building next door, slips on a fireman's suit and says, here I am to save the day. You know what I mean? That's what's going on. The left ruins the economy. They ruin public safety. They explode foreign policy. They explode any semblance of sovereignty with the border. And then they claim that they're there to solve the problem. And what's wrong with Donald? Donald Trump's responsible for everything that happens, don't you know? I mean, he's responsible for the current border crisis. If you listen to some of these loons, I don't get it. This doesn't make sense. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here in a minute, but I have to say, how about them Cards? Not. What's going on with the Cardinals, gang? I mean, we have to talk about it because I don't understand. Ollie Marmol's given an extension on the contract. They come out of the chute. They lose the first game. What was it, 6-1 Friday night? And then, Thursday, and then Friday they lose another game. I don't know what's going on with the Cardinals, but hopefully they will. I know there's a lot of injuries going on, and I don't know. It's a little bit of a metaphor for, like, why are we awarding behavior that hasn't been all that successful? I mean, now Ollie he was given a hand last year. I mean, the team was just not a solid team. The pitching staff was weak. I think there were some other problems in terms of gaps that weren't filled, but I don't know. Accountability seems to be in short supply these days. Accountability seems to be in short supply. Well, listen, we've got some more stuff that we didn't get to today, but hopefully you'll talk to us and stay in tune with us next week on News Talk STL. Stay in touch with all the great programming on the weekend, the weekdays, here on News Talk STL 101.9 94.1. For Jerome, for yours truly, Randy Tobler. Thanks for being with us. A blessed and joyful Easter to you and yours. We'll see you next time.
In his bosom that transfigures you.
Build another prison. Don't dig another grave.
As he died to make men holy